We get a shockingly good anime episode, and the experimental creatures have a battle of spatial proportions. That and more on today's episode of BrobusCast Death Battle Edition. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of BrobusCast. I'm your host, Brobuscus. With me today is ZDogg.
I am dog. I am dog. I am dog.
And Richard.
Come on, Barbie. Let's go, Barbie.
I am dog. I am dog. I am dog. I'm not going to do that for this.
Please, thank you.
The entire podcast would just say that.
Oh Lord, please no.
The next Fools, though, I got an no.
Well, we also have another special guest, as the case may be. Please welcome the Rappter.
I am a Canadian dinosaur. How you doing?
That's very good to know, actually. So we got quite a bit to talk about today, don't we?
Yeah.
So, you guys like anime? We're all weebs here, right?
I am a weeb. Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Certified, yes, it's on my birth certificate.
I mean, I am my highest anticipated game for it's either coming out this year or next year is a anime game that lets you not only fight cool monsters but also choose who you wanna date. So
Awesome.
there you go. That show. I wear my weeb card proud.
I think that's
Also,
a rite of passage, yes.
Yeah, I guess.
It's one of them. Also, I binged both main series for this episode, so I mean, that also adds to my weakness.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
this. I did the same thing, so I can't really judge.
I did it for one of them.
Yeah.
All right.
So Killua versus Misaka came out.
It did.
And yeah. Well, I mean, first and foremost, we were right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like everybody was right. This one was kind of. Oh, I get it. That's funny. No, I feel like this one was kind of like. Yeah,
I'm try.
This was it's like I thought it was kind of spelled out already, and then as Misaka's analysis was going on, I was like, okay, so does Killua have like actually anything? Like he's kind of getting steamrolled right now.
You never know whether or not they're going to pull out numbers after the fight. So you never know for sure, but based on what you said earlier, yeah, there's no advantage except for like up close fighting that Killua had.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunate. But oh well.
Yeah. This one was kind of an upset. This one was a bummer.
It was kind of dry.
Yeah, so. I mean,
But I mean, what can you do? I mean,
yeah.
Hunter win a death battle challenge. I'm pretty sure that's impossible.
Probably, but who knows? Maybe there'll be an upset in the future. So.
Maybe.
But I mean, we did get a cool analysis out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Tiki, you spoil us. Like
We got both Total Drama and Lab Rats footage. This is a W for me. Oh.
Clearly, what that means is that we're gonna get those two shows on this in this season. Definitely, that's 100. That's 100% what it means. Just like how we got Groove versus Megamind last season. Let's go.
Yeah, it was an amazing episode.
It was.
So funny when Wreck-It Ralph came in and destroyed both of them.
Or heck, like how we're this is a bit of a side note, but how we're like 100% gonna get Lucina versus Grovile this season, because little little Easter egg that was thrown in. So they mentioned Misaka was a level 5 Esper, and Boomstick made the comparison to Pokemon, there was that footage played of Pokken that was played and recorded by Jukum, who was the lead researcher on Killua, and one of the I forget the whole details. There was something up in the top right corner, and if you decipher it, it says biggest Lucy versus Grovile fan or whatever it was. And it's oh well, I mean, obviously we're gonna get Lucina versus Grovile this season. That's just how that works.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But I'm sure there's someone. I'm sure there's someone out there who's on huge copium trying to make sure that works. But I mean, I guess it's not impossible, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cute nod regardless. So.
Yeah.
I think we all just have to accept that we don't know anything and that they can pull whatever they want, and
right,
they don't have
exactly.
to apologize for it. Yeah.
Dear God.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I saw people last year saying oh, we're gonna get Mordecai and Rigby this year. Oh, we're gonna get Groover's Megamind this year. Oh, just because of some background clips that were played during certain episodes or whatever. And I'm I mean, okay.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's fun to speculate, but you can't go in thinking you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same show that pulled out Lucy versus Carnage, or Hercules versus Sun Wukong. This is if any
Super Friends Aquaman.
Yeah. If any show is unpredictable, it's this one.
If you think you know what Death Battle's gonna do, you don't.
You don't.
Don't kid yourself.
You don't. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
But
anyway, going back to what the point was, yeah, DJ is editing God.
Pretty much, yeah.
I really did love the little things the VFX work, and the Tom yell from Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, that was so funny.
That was. And I really loved just how well told one of these combatant stories were, which kind of, and also DJ heard my criticism. Well, I don't think he heard it, but I think he figured out the criticism early on. That we finally got the combatants' advantages and weaknesses at the end. They're now back to color.
Yeah.
So yeah, good job. The problem I have. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, they're color coded to the characters this time, as opposed to having their own individual colors like last time. But still, it's something.
Yeah, no, it's something. The only thing I have a major complaint about with this animation, with the analysis is Killua's segment.
Oh.
First of all, Hershey, shame on you for not making a single fucking hiatus X hiatus joke. It was right there. It was right fucking there. I love you, bro, but come on, man. It's come on. And I also just don't like how Killua's story, because see, that's kind of the thing, and this is why it's probably hard for Hunter x Hunter to be in an analysis segment, because the story is not over. It's still going. It's just in indefinite. It's just in limbo right now. So Killua's story, where he realizes he's too dependent on Gon and he decides to run off and take care of his sister. That is a good if you don't know about Hunter x Hunter and its hiatus, then you can just look at that and see that as like an end to his character.
Right, that's kind of how I saw it.
Yeah, no, but it's like the fact of the matter is, it's like, okay, well, that's just a stopping point. There's not there. We don't know the end of Killua's character. We don't know how he grows. We don't know whether or not the fan base can finally have their fucking cake and have Killua and Gon be gay for each other. We don't know. There's a lot of things that are left untold, and the creator has said that he's gonna try and put out some new chapters, and who knows, maybe those new chapters will give Killua something to warrant him coming back. I honestly can't say.
He has a crap ton of matchups for it.
Yeah. So I just found it very peculiar, and I was a little disappointed with how Killua's segment ended, and how, once again, it didn't make a single joke about the manga just being on hiatus, or them even addressing that, because that's the thing. We don't know Killua's maximum potential because, well, again, he doesn't have one. What we see in these chapters and in the anime, that's pretty much all we have to go on at the moment. It was enough for them to draw a conclusion, but I'm just saying, it's like, okay, like, I would have liked if they didn't just not touch on it, because it's not like they're afraid to. It's not like they're. It's like they're not afraid to go down those roads. I mean, these are the same people who spoiled Omni-Man's fate last year in Omni-Man vs. Homelander. So, and they have no trouble with bringing up certain things from the manga. So it really just surprised me. It's something I wish we could have gotten. That's all. So that's my one legitimate complaint from this analysis segment is Killua.
I mean, I see where you're coming from, but like, I don't know. I mean, because I guess kind of, I don't know if this really remedies it, but from what I understand, from someone who hasn't read the manga and only knows a friend who's read the manga, I don't think like modern, like most of the Hunter x Hunter stuff nowadays is focused on Kurapika and Leorio. So I don't know how much is actually done with Killua, and like, even then, like, I think what they did with it, especially since it ends on like where we know Killua is in the 2011 anime, which I imagine is where a lot of people know Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, I think it's a more than fine enough ending to his analysis. Personally.
Yeah. This is very interesting to me because, like, when I made my reaction video, I specifically stated that people who know more about these franchises than me are probably going to have more nitpicks or more problems with it, because for me, as someone who really didn't know much about the stories or the characters, I was honestly very satisfied with how much information for their stories and their relationships they were able to tell me. I was just really happy with how they did that. So obviously there's going to be some criticisms I can't really come up with because I'm not, like, Death Battle is now my biggest source of information for these characters. Yeah. That's how it works sometimes. It's a very familiar situation for me. So that is interesting, Jedi Bender, that you bring that up, because that never would have crossed my mind. But I personally I found the analyses really enjoyable, personally.
Oh yeah, I mean, really like what they did with them.
Yeah, no, and that's the job that I do feel like Hershey accomplished. Like, if you're not a hardcore fan of the anime or the manga, or you have a simple understanding of how it goes, I think you can look at Killua's analysis. Like, you can look at it as a good conclusion to his character, but there is going to be that part that you're going to want to know, well, what's going to happen next? And if you actually do try and deep dive into Hunter x Hunter, you're going to be, disappointed because because the manga is still it's on lockdown. Like, we don't know if it is going to come back or isn't going to come back. That's all up to the creator himself and whether or not he is mentally healthy to return to it. But I mean, yeah.
I feel like it's kind of. I think it's a little bit unfair to hold Death Battle against that, considering like it's not. It's what
Yeah,
they
like
have to work
what
with.
control do they have over that?
No,
Yeah.
that's not a matter of. I'm really not saying that they should be held accountable for that. No, of course not. I'm just saying it's like the way it was portrayed. It did come off as like, okay, well, see, here's my problem. Is like that's just a stopping point, and they don't make reference to it. Maybe Hershey did that personally. Maybe that was his intention to not draw any attention to the manga being on a hiatus for like a decade now, and
I mean, Hunter x Hunter
not-
fans are suffering enough.
yeah. No, well, I mean, they're suffering enough, but it's like this is not even a this is not a new this is not a new wound. This is an old wound.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And I also just got it. Yeah, and I also do have to say it was pretty daring of them to have Killua be the first Hunter x Hunter representative. Because God knows how much I know people wanted other matchups involving Hunter x Hunter characters, but
Right.
and yeah, going back to, I mean, this is obviously, I think this somewhat carries over into the animation, but yeah, like Brobuscus said, the more and more you learn about Misaka, the more and more I literally said in my reaction with my bros, I literally said, "Oh, Killua's fucked. He's gonna die." Like, and they weren't even. And I guess that, well, okay, now that's probably one nitpick I have about Misaka's analysis. It pretty much took the Storm approach, as I call it, from Korra versus Storm. They weren't even trying to hide how fucked Killua was. Like, they really laid out all the numbers, all the stops, and they pretty much showed you that, yeah, Misaka has this, like, in the fucking bag.
That's a problem. That's a problem I have not only with Korra versus Storm, but also somewhat with Magneto versus Tetsuo as well. That they just give out so much information. Really, the only thing they didn't, or that they waited until the end for that one to say, is like how Magneto could take control of the Big Bang potentially. But other than that, everything was just laid out right at the beginning.
Yeah, no, it's like
I mean,
again.
At least with like
Some subtlety would have been nice. Some hint of subtlety and a little bit more control over. Because again, they sometimes do and don't do this. Whenever we get to a batshit crazy feat, they apply the calc for that, and that calc is a contributing factor into who you're going to end up picking.
Right.
But then when we get to say an episode like, oh, here's Zuko versus Todoroki. Oh, look at that. Todoroki created a giant fucking iceberg in this stadium. We don't even need to bust out a calculator for that. It's just that fucking It's just that fucking OP. It really feels like they do. They're very hand wavy and wishy washy with it. So again,
I mean,
if you're going to have such a clear cut stomp matchup like this, I think some self control in having the character that is most definitely going to win, just hide their shit, don't pull out a calc, and then wait to do the calc at the end. So that way, at least it gives people some kind of maybe. It's harder for people to pick a winner. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's much harder.
I get, but then you're probably gonna get people like who only like. You're probably gonna also get complaints like from like people like Reese who like determine like who's gonna win before like, oh, they left out this information. How am I supposed to know this? Like they pull it out of there.
That's what I was gonna say.
I think it's just a tricky middle ground. I mean, I guess they could have done that here with giving the lower calculations numbers and then also adding on like the Brunhild and UP calc at the end, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky walking ground.
That's really funny actually, because I remember way back when, like I forget, was it 2015? I remember I was watching Donkey Kong versus Knuckles, and I had
that'd be 2015.
I had picked up on the trend, because what you're saying, like leaving out some information until the end, they used to do that a lot more before, and I had picked up on that trend. So when I saw that for Donkey Kong's moon feat, they didn't give a calc, and for Knuckles' feat, like the volcano and stuff like that, they did, I thought, oh crap, well I know who wins, because there's going to be information that they say later. So I think it really is a balance, right? Like I don't think you can do the same thing every time, because then you're going to pick up on a trend. I do think there are some death battles, like potentially Killua versus Misaka, where they could have handled it a little better. But I still do appreciate that, because for some characters, like especially like Todoroki, like him creating that iceberg, you don't really have a choice. Like you can't leave out that.
You kind of just have to mention it.
Yeah. So I think. Again, like I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, especially when it comes to death battle. I like to think that for a lot of their choices, they go over all the potential options, and then for the most casual audience possible, they try to pick the best one. That's kind of how I see it.
I mean, for me, like I definitely think that how they handled it here is like a million times better than how they handled it in Korra vs. Storm, because like. With like once you get into Storm's analysis, like you're like a minute in and you're like, all right, Korra's freaking dead. Like it's. I mean, at the same time though, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say like this matchup is bad. I don't want to say that, but I wonder if that's part, like, because for Korra vs. Storm, part of it was just like the idea of pitting the two against each other was always so baffling to me. And then you go through Storm's analysis, and like the second they mentioned the what was the feat? It was I think it was like her creating like clouds around the world or something. It was like, oh okay, well there. I was like, oh okay, well there it is. That's the end of Korra.
And reigniting the star as well, the artificial star.
Yeah, that too. And it was kind of, in that sense, it was just kind of like proving why I was so confused, why I was so against pitting the two against each other. But I guess here, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain why they did this better. I just think they did. It just feels better. And I mean, you say like leaving out, maybe not leaving out, like
holding back information.
Yeah, holding back information until the end. You do have to be careful with that, because we could, like, if you're not careful, then we could get another like Sephiroth versus Virgil situation where they just straight up hide an entire feat. That was like the biggest thing to bring up in their reasoning. Like they don't mention that in the analysis at all. So
I think the reason why I see Killua versus Misaka as maybe being done better is that they both had feats that they didn't give numbers for. Like they had a mix. Like they both had feats that they did give numbers for, and feats that they didn't. And while if you're observant enough, you can probably still put together what's going to happen. It's like Death Battle can do anything. You don't know. So I think at that point it was like. You could still be surprised. Even if they've presented some information to you right now, you don't know. Something else could happen later.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure there was an episode that like the analysis kind of like led you one way, but if you really pay attention, you could get the right one. I think it was Heihachi Geese. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember watching Max's reaction to that, and they mentioned a bunch of like feats for Geese, and they mentioned numbers that got higher than what they said for Heihachi, but then Max remembered like, wait, this has happened before.
Yep.
This is I mean, for Max it's kind of cheating because he used to work on the show, but but even still, it's like, like there were feats for both of them that they didn't give numbers for, that were given numbers in the that were given numbers in the recap that ended up being Heihachi's win. But if you just look at if you're only looking for the numbers, you're gonna go for Geese. But if you really like if you if you read the fine print, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It's a mix of the numbers, but also the context of whatever they say.
And it's just, I think it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard, especially because like, I mean, this matchup was kind of like, you look into it and you're like, okay, yeah, Misaka just kind of wins, doesn't she? It's like it's kind of hard to strike that balance as is when it's already like pretty clear cut who's going to win. So you go into it with that. You go into it with that mentality. You're going into this episode thinking, okay, maybe there's something, but I'm pretty sure Misaka's gonna win. And then but neither of the analyses contradicts it in any way. So you're just like, well, okay then. It's like usually you'd expect the analysis to bring up like something that could like catch you off guard. Maybe like, I don't know, like trying to think of an example, like Adam. I don't know, because like you go into it expecting one character to win, and then they mention the analysis like, you know, Hank could. I'm trying to think of a random example. Like he rewrote his biology to resist size alterations, and then Adam, you're like he's like, oh, I can resist that too, kind of.
With my
yeah. So it's like it's stuff that like catches you off guard and makes you like stop and think for just a second, and it leaves that like little sense of doubt in your mind. Like it's like, okay, so I thought this guy was going to win, but maybe. But this one doesn't have that, and I don't really think that's Death Battle's fault. It's just that's just the nature of these characters, like, and especially since like from what I've heard, I haven't finished Index, but from what I've heard, they're pretty blatant when it comes to how powerful they can get.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice for us?
Yeah. It's like Misaka just straight up dodged a particle beam. That's pretty insane. So yeah. So I don't know. It's just something that I just don't think they really have much control over. It's just kind of the.
They just have to do the best with what they can.
Yeah,
I do think it's kind of like a case by case basis, because again, it's like the amount of feats you're working with and what you can and cannot bring up, like what makes sense to save for later and what doesn't.
Right.
It's also, we have to remember that one of their main jobs is to like represent the characters as best as possible, and not to say they always do a perfect job with that, but I feel like a lot of the time that is prioritized more than trying to outsmart the audience and trying to make them second guess what they're thinking. So I feel like in this case it was really just that if you save a lot of stuff for Misaka at the end, then you're not really left with a good analysis. Like if you took her analysis out of context and you just watched that and not the rest of the death battle, you're gonna say that was a shit analysis. So you have to make sure that you're representing everyone properly at all times, and that's a tough thing to do, but you know, it's what they have to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, we sure talked for a half hour about something that's kind of inconsequential, didn't we?
Yeah.
Why don't we
like a conversation.
why don't we talk about the things that actually kind of matter?
Okay.
What would that be?
Well, I mean, this fight's probably a good place to start.
Just saying right off the bat, it looks really good. I really like the pretty set piece of this fight.
Dude,
background is pretty cool.
They keep blowing me away with these backgrounds. It's crazy. It's like I thought we peaked with like the 3D backgrounds from last year, but no. Like I thought we peaked with freaking like Kondak from Black Adam vs. Apocalypse, but then we get stuff like this, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, never mind. It sure it can in fact get better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about the series as of late, is that they're still doing consistently well, and they are able to improve. And that's just like, there's no reason right now for me to doubt their performance as in terms of production value. There's no reason at all. Not yet, anyway.
No. I like this animation very much. I know that is not a popular opinion because I'm going to be honest, from the friends and the circles that I am in, everybody pretty much everybody that I talk to has pretty much said this animation sucks. Like, it's a waste of time, and I understand that. I do.
I mean, it's not perfect, but I don't think it's that bad.
It's a matter of. It comes with the territory of this matchup, and again, I get it. Look, I get it. I get it.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, sorry, you go ahead.
No. You go.
Okay, well, I was just gonna quickly say that when they say waste of time, I feel like that more so pertains to the debate. Like, it does. Like, you can literally have an animation of any two characters fighting, and as long as it's fun, it's worth watching. Like, like, it's a fun fight, you know? So, like, if anyone's saying, oh, you know, it was a waste of time, it's like, what, you don't have 3 minutes to watch two people kill each other? Like, come on, get over yourself.
Really?
It's funny you bring that up.
So,
I do think one of the... Go ahead.
I mean, question. The people who say that, are they some of those people that are like during the waiting period, I saw a lot of... I didn't watch them because I have way better things to do with my life, but,
yes.
Are you talking about those people that are like, why do this match? This is such a huge stomp. It's like, I don't... Like,
not on YouTube. No, not on YouTube. I mean, those things... Yeah, no. It's just people that I know closely...
Because that sort of mentality gives me like PTSD of Deku versus Asta, and I just don't want to deal with it.
No, I get it. But no, it is. It's, and again, like, I think my only complaint about this animation really is the length. I do think it's a bit on the short side, not too long, but not too short. It does kind of take a while to, because see, that's one of the things that I can that's why I keep saying I understand, is like, if you just look at this animation, it's not doing anything you haven't seen already before. Yes, it has amazing backgrounds, godlike backgrounds. The custom sprite for Killua by Origins, it's fucking beautiful. The Mikasa sprites, they're fucking awesome. Like, everything that is happening, I can see how you would kind of look at it and just be not blown away, because it does take a while to get going, and it doesn't really pop until the giant lightning kaiju, and in the end, it's like, okay, here's the fake out kill shot. So all of that, it really feels like, okay, it only started getting good when it was at the end, and by the end, it's like, I can see why people would find that underwhelming. I've seen this animation like 4 times, which is a lot more than Ant-Man vs. Atom. I only saw Ant-Man vs. Atom like twice because I was it's funny. I've been dunking a lot on Ant-Man vs. Atom because it's generally an underwhelming episode. You know, but here it feels like, okay, this is actually perfect. This is very good. It gives me what I want, and I want to see Killua, and I want to see Killua. That's it, and I got it. So
he kicks some ass.
I think this animation slaps. Is it the best? Is it the best of the season? Absolutely not. We literally have 13 episodes left, or 12 of the rest?
13.
Okay. Yeah. We have 13 episodes left. So
I mean, I can already tell you it's not the best because we literally just had Dark Souls versus Skyrim. So
there you go.
Like,
the only thing really too that it doesn't, coming off of Dark Souls versus Skyrim, that also kind of makes this even more underwhelming to the general people who are just not a fan of this matchup. So again, I see the complaints, and they are valid complaints. It really does feel like, okay, this is just filler for what's about to come next. And I think that this is probably going to go. This is going to go down as most likely the most underrated episode of season 10, just because it doesn't do that much with it. It does enough. You see the lightning, you see the skateboard, you see the yo-yos, you see the coins. You know, you see the cool shit, but there's no substance to it. It's literally just style, and I think that's why I really fucking like this episode, like more so than like hell. When I first watched it live Sunday, I literally agreed with my buds when they said, "Oh man, this is better than Vegeta versus Thor, or fucking Madara versus Isaac in terms of fake out." I was riding that high. I will not lie. And then I tell that to John Mitchell, and he yells at me saying, "Are you fucking crazy?" His words, not mine. And I was like, "Okay, yeah." He's like, yeah. But in the moment, I was feeling the hype. I was feeling it. But I can't lie. It's not as good, and again, I hate to make this unfair comparison, but it's not as good as the testosterone drug addiction that is fucking Skyrim versus Dark Souls. But I think it's fine. I like it. I think it's good.
At the worst, it's dumb fun, and at its best, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun, and you know, I mean. I also I love everything about it. Like, the little details really do make this visually interesting. The lightning effects, the one Killua hand-drawn shot, which actually is closely resembling the actual custom sprite. Like, I love how, I don't know, maybe this is a sign that most of the season will do this, but I like that the sprite and the hand-drawn shot almost blend together.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think what I can say that this episode does uniquely is just the sense of strategy. These two, like usually when we get these fights, it's usually a battle of, you know, power. Like, and then you get like some occasional fights where skills involved. You know, that makes sense.
Skyrim versus fucking Dark Souls was about that. No, wait, no, that was more about power.
But this one, like, and they mentioned it in the recaps, like how you know, power alone isn't going to net either of these two a win. So they play that up.
More strategy based.
Yeah, so they play that up in the fight and have both of them kind of analyze each other. It's like Misaka realizing that Killua's what's that freaking move called? At the beginning, what's that freaking move called? Rhythm Echo. Gosh, it's okay. Like, she realizes, oh, that's an illusion. It's a trick of sound. You know, both of them realize it was like Misaka's like, I need to keep my distance. Killua's like, I need to get in close.
No problem.
Those two. Yeah, these two are standoffish. It's great.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
So it's a battle of it's a battle of tricks. It's a battle of strategy, and I like that. But you were mentioning little details. One thing I thought was kind of funny is that, and kind of keeping in line with Index, is that Misaka's railgun, for as cool as that move is, it is such a jobber move.
It
like,
really doesn't land as often as it should. And it doesn't land.
Heck, she
had an anti-stormtrooper aim on.
Dude, she uses that move like 4 times throughout the fight, and only the last one actually lands.
I mean, to be fair, it's a lot more impactful, but you know.
I mean, yeah, no, it's ironic that way.
Killua was probably fine.
Yeah, no, and can I just talk about, I mean, this goes into the underwhelming kill death. It is just body parts being dismembered, but I do like the effect where you see the blood, this is fucked up to say out of context, but Killua's blood raining down from the sky and covering Mikasa from head to toe while she's, giggling. I was like, ugh. It's like, that was a great fucking detail. Like, just the blood splatter and how it hits Mikasa's sprite. It really fucking looks good.
I'm right there with you. We'll be fucked up together.
Don't say that. Now I'm tempted to make it the title.
Oh shit.
I will say I agree that like in a bubble like the death is kind of underwhelming, but I think it's made up for by like the effects and the sound design.
Oh god,
yes.
They really have come a long way with improving them, because I know season 7, I know season 7 because it was the pandemic and they had over 20 fucking episodes to get through. The sound quality and the mixing, they were very hit or miss.
Poor Hulk versus Broly.
At the beginning, at least, yeah.
I still love that fight. To be fair, but
from what I understand,
yeah.
I don't know. No, whether they're still working in office or not, I still have to commend the sound team and how they do a good job. I don't know. The lightning. It's hard to make lightning sound badass. I mean, it can be done. It's just, I don't know. It just felt like, it was cool.
I mean, I feel like this one's a little different because it's her railgun move. It's not like full on lightning.
Yeah.
But yeah. But really, I think I will say I do like the entire like build up to the ending, even if the death itself is a little eh.
It's unexpected. I'll say that.
Yeah. I'll fully admit for the briefest of seconds I fell for the fake out.
Oh yeah, I was convinced. Oh, what? I thought Killua actually won, and then oh man.
I don't know if I was, just because like again we were saying how like it was a little on the shorter side, and I'm like, if the fight ends right here, that feels quite short. So maybe I was a little tricked, but it was over very quickly if I was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like, I was like, oh wait, what? No. And then,
exactly.
And then Misaka's, like, clone revealed itself, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
I don't know if it was because it was on the short side, or just because I was, like, surprised that, like, there was, like, the idea that Killua won the fight, but I mean, like I said, I still fell for it. I will proudly admit that. But yeah, I did see people like weirded out about it. I'm like, they literally. I mean, we mentioned before how the tabs, the black boxes are a little bit more prominent this time around. Throughout the season, there was a black box. At least I think it was a black box that said that mentioned Misaka's like sand duplicate things.
I think they even showed it on screen actually. So.
So it was like, I mean, for me, like I said, I fell for the fake out, but once I saw that it was a clone, I was like, oh, okay. I got what they were doing. But a lot of people were confused, and I don't. Okay.
Bob might have been distracted, like reading the sidebar or
maybe
other things, and not notice it. Yeah, well. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't. I'll be honest. I don't think the death was underwhelming at all. I really liked it. Like maybe. I mean,
it does its job.
I think it's. I mean, yeah. It's you could count it as like just another explosion death or whatever. But like, I don't know. I think just with how much like Misaka like used the like we said before, Misaka used the railgun, it misses. I think just the like her finally using it and it landing, and I think
Satisfying.
It's satisfying, and you know the sound design really helps it. So I really liked it. I don't think it was underwhelming at all.
I'll tell you, I'll take something like Killua's death over a vaporization death any day.
Exactly.
That's fair.
Granted, I think it would have been hard to vaporize Killua with a coin, but still, just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there was something I was going to bring up, and I don't remember what it was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Our apologies.
No, it's fine. I just, I mean, I guess I'll mention the kaiju looked kind of cool.
It
yeah,
did, yes.
Yeah, the kaiju looks amazing. Honestly, class whoever.
When the hand came up at the beginning, I'm like, oh yeah.
But then we got Killua's freaking like snake thing. I don't know the context of that. I didn't get that far. And I'm like, okay, that's or no, actually, you know what? No, the shot right before that as Killua's like above the kaiju.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people say like, okay, yeah, that's the season 8 shot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, both shots were like really good. Like props over and put those together because, wow, it's beautiful. So.
Yeah.
The whole animation is beautiful. It is.
Indeed.
I can't see how better it is.
Yeah, it's very, very beautiful, very solid overall. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, even though it's not that bad, I can see like some of the posing looks a tad off. Like if you like, at times, like it's nothing like that takes me out of the fight. It's just that there are some.
It can
ways
affect the
of threat
fluidity
division.
sometimes, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, the only one that I noticed was like Misaka's reaction to Killua's first attack. I don't know. The rest of it I thought was fine.
Yeah, I think it was mostly just like the one shock at the beginning for Killua, and then
Yeah,
there's some.
that's what I mean.
There are some. Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, it, like I said, don't take me out of the fight. Just I think some of it looks a little weird, but
Yeah.
So.
You know, it's funny. I've been trying to think of like a reason for this, but really, I think the thing that's holding, like, I don't know. I think the thing with me about this episode as a whole is just, it just doesn't have that click. You know, like it's, and like I've been trying, like this entire time, I've been trying to find the reason why, and I just don't. Like, and I rewatched it like a couple hours ago, and I'm like, again, it's like it's a good episode. I want that to be clear. I still do really like it, but it's like the other two episodes had like something to it that it's a little hard to explain. The other episodes had something to it that like really like clicked with me and really got me into it. This one doesn't. But at the same time, it's like I still really like it. Like it's still a well put together episode. And it's still fun to watch.
I oddly understand kind of what you're saying, but I think for me, it's just because out of the 6 combatants we've gotten so far, Killua and Misaka are the ones that I know the least, and it's like I remember.
Yeah.
I look back fondly on the other ones because it's like, oh yeah, it's characters that I kind of know and characters I like seeing in an animation. And for this one, it's like whenever I think back to Killua or Misaka, it's going to be the death battle and just the death battle. I'm not going to have like any great memories of, you know, watching or reading Killua do something cool or anything. So I think for me, I kind of have an excuse for that. I kind of understand why I feel that way. But I also have to take that into consideration when I'm reviewing episodes and when I'm thinking about it because
Right.
you know I don't want to I want to try to not be biased at least. And like I said before, I was so happy with that they prioritized talking about the characters' relationships and their stories, because as someone who didn't know who really they were, I'm like, yeah, like this is a show dedicated to answering who would win in a fight, but part of the reason why I watch this show is to learn about new characters, and I gotta say, like, I'm really happy I know about these guys now, and that's all thanks to Death Battle.
Yeah.
The characters are more than just respect threads. You got to remember that.
Exactly. Yep.
So
100%.
We're not in the season 1 or 2 days anymore.
I think to piggyback off of Brobuscus's idea, I felt like that for the season premiere, but this episode, it did click with me, mostly on the Hunter x Hunter side, because
the Killua stuff in this is like perfect. Like,
I think it's just like I watched the anime so long ago, and then I picked it back up again, and I still haven't completed it because I think subconsciously there's that part of me that's like, okay, well, why the hell would I complete it when it still isn't coming back? But I do get so much love. I love seeing Killua and Gon's relationship develop, because that really is the centerpiece.
yeah, they're adorable together.
They are. Again, I said it once, I'll say it again. I would take a fucking bullet for those two.
Mm-hmm.
They are. Their chemistry, their bond, it really is good. And it doesn't come off as potentially future sexual to me, at least. I see it as a good platonic kind of brotherly love.
I mean, I usually stay far away from that scene, but like if they want to go that direction, then by all means, like I see the blueprints for that.
A little bit,
but
just wait
until
they're older, please.
Whichever way they go, it doesn't undermine their relationship and their appreciation.
No,
but it does.
But it's like
discourage me because it discourages me from getting into the Hunter x Hunter fandom, because that's all this fucking fandom is obsessed with, is making Killua and Gon gay.
Man.
Well, what was I gonna say?
No.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you look at like anime characters, especially the anime protagonists, like you usually think of like either the stoic badass types or like the kind of snarky douchebags, but still like endearing. But then you look at Killua and Misaka, and like they have those like badass moments, but then they like start playing around with each other, and you're like, oh yeah, these two are kids.
Yep.
And them playing together is just so adorable, and I love it. Yeah.
Well, if I may, I was gonna say, going back to it clicking with me, I think this fight does click with me a lot more now that I've experienced all of the 2011 anime for Hunter x Hunter and
exactly, yeah.
The certain magical index. I think I mean, of course, like people are. I think you're gonna enjoy this fight regardless, but especially if you are more into Index and Hunter x Hunter.
That's fair. I still have yet. I still have yet to watch any of Index or Railgun that I haven't watched before we did our last episode. So that's probably that could be it.
I mean, obviously, like I don't want to get across the wrong idea. There is obviously stuff to enjoy if you're not if you haven't watched either. But I mean, I think just exactly. But I think just getting into both series did make me appreciate this episode and these characters a lot more than I would have otherwise. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's why it personally clicked with me a little more. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, all right. I guess if we don't have anything more to talk about on the animation, I guess we can move on to the voice acting. So we got I need to pull up their names again. 1 second. I should have done this before. I kind of forgot their names.
Well,
Was it
let's just
Giselle
say-
someone?
Oh yeah.
Giselle Fernandez as Killua. And then Fenty Kelly Loe, sure, we'll go with that as Misaka. Yes, yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there right now. Giselle is basically perfect.
Yes, like they sound exactly like almost like a voice double for Christina V's in the Killua. Honestly, it's so good.
If it wasn't obvious, I can't judge the voice acting from an impression perspective because I don't really know how the characters sound, but I do think they did a good job just selling the emotions and the characters fighting. So like, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say, but I do think they did a good job.
Oh yeah, they did great.
Absolutely, they did. They did a great job.
Yeah, even though I still think, I mean, obviously you wouldn't know this if you hadn't watched the series. I still think Misaka, or whoever Misaka was, sorry, I already forget. I have a great memory, I swear. Anyway, I think they still sound a little too old for Misaka. Because, like, I don't know, I still think, like, see Misaka as, like, the voice of, like, a teen. The exaggerated swagger of an electric team. That's hard to say. But no, I mean, they did good. I just still think they still sound a little too old for Misaka. But I mean, they did good regardless, so I can't really complain that much.
I think her performance in general was good, but I feel like my issue with her is, well, for one, I feel like she's a little too, what's the not old. I wasn't gonna say old, but I guess stilted is the word I'm looking for. Like there isn't a like with Killua, like pretty much every single line read is different. Like it conveys a different. It's in a different context. It conveys a different emotion.
So similar delivery, you think?
I think that's what it is. Like a lot of the lines for Misaka sound very similar to each other.
Interesting.
With their delivery, I don't know. And I mean, I honestly don't remember if it's like a solid impression. Like I don't know. Like I don't remember how close it is to Misaka's voice in the show, but I mean, it still sounds like how I would imagine Misaka would sound. It's just, it's just the way it was delivered. It's still good, but and she does have some pretty cool lines. It's just, again, they sound. It sounds almost a little too similar. Like they were almost delivered the same way. It's weird.
I'll look out for that when I watch it again. Interesting.
But still, no, solid, but completely overshadowed by Giselle, if you ask me.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because, like, for one, the performance was good, but also, like, man, when they did it, like, when they showed the preview on Cast, afterwards,
that wasn't present.
well, that's not what I'm saying. Chad, like, kind of set them up to be like he basically said, like, yeah, man, those the VAs on this are really good, and you'd think that'd be like a good segue to just kind of publicly announce and shout out who they are, but they don't. And it kind of reminded me of like past episodes, like Ultron versus Sigma or Trunks versus Silver, where it was like yeah, like these voice actors are really good, aren't they? And then they don't announce them, and then it turns out one of them is like the actual voice actor. So I'm like, man, with that in mind, and with how close it sounds to Christina V, I wouldn't be like that surprised if it actually ended up being her. It wasn't, but it was still, it was very close. Like it's basically a perfect impression and performance for Killua. So
For sure.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Thumbs up for me.
And then there's the soundtrack, Change of Heart. With the X's, it's great. This title is honestly like brilliant when you really think about it. Like
I have yet to actually listen to it on its own yet, which is weird because usually I do it like right after or even right before sometimes. But I have yet to listen to it on its own. I really should do that.
It's honestly kind of a banger.
It's pretty good. I like it.
I've just been listening to Fireborn over and over and over.
You know what? That's fair.
Like that one's fulfilling enough for me. Like I can just keep doing it.
That's honestly fair. But I mean, I knew like this one would have like quite a bit of energy to it, but man, I was kind of blown away.
Oh yeah, like it was an energetic little track. It definitely had the Hunter x Hunter vibes.
Yeah. Only problem I really have with it is that I mean, I don't know how much of a fault this is on the and it's playing. Let's not do that. Only problem I really have with it is that I mean I don't know if this is the track's fault or the episode, but then again, okay, what I'm saying is that the track is very short. It's not even 3 minutes long.
I mean, I'm guessing that's just because of how short the battle is. I don't think that's...
Right, but the battle is longer. I actually like stopped and thought of because I listened to this track on loop while I was working on something. You know, I'm not gonna get into it just yet. But when I went to rewatch it, when I went to rewatch the episode, I had like this I was like, oh yeah, like how long is the track compared to the episode? And there's as far as memory serves, there's a moment like it's right before the kaiju comes out when the track kind of like stops for a second and then like repeats part of it. I
mean, honestly, the track is not always a great the track is not always a great indicator of how long the fight will be. Like most of Diabolical Invincible Me is not in Omni-Man versus Homelander.
Yeah, it's true.
So okay. I got it. I got what you're trying to say, though, but
yeah. But no, good track. Therewolf, you spoil us.
It vibes pretty well. Therewolf did really good. That I can't get enough of like the beginning part, the beginning riff specifically. It's so good.
Damn, I need to listen to this. I'm gonna do it right after. I swear. I'll get right to it.
There you
go. Yeah. So yeah. Solid track for a solid episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So. Yeah, and I really hope that Hunter x Hunter and Index fans enjoy it as well. So
yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
Here's to more Hunter x Hunter on this show.
Cheers.
Give me a Kurapika match.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, just solid fight, solid analyses, solid track, solid match, solid episode. Yeah. There you go.
Yep. I mean, in general, this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion. It's probably my least favorite episode of the season, but That's just because I like the other two so much. So it's not
That's
really.
fair.
It's not really strike against this episode. I just like the other ones more.
That's fair. I mean, I think I'm gonna turn into Richard for a second. I think I like it a little more than Ant-Man and Adam currently, but like that's obviously nothing against Ant-Man and Adam. Just both are very solid. I think just partly just because of how the build-up. I like how I watched both series, one with a friend, and just the payoff. I think it just made the payoff a lot sweeter. So, if that makes any sense.
I know I agree with one of you two. I just don't know which one yet. I have to keep
I'll take it regardless.
Well, I mean, regardless, I think we can safely say that this wasn't going to be Dark Souls versus Skyrim.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like I said last episode, I don't think anything's going to beat that this season, at least for a while, if I had to guess.
Now the next one will.
Maybe.
Hey, yeah. You know what? That's actually a pretty solid transition.
Yeah. But by the way, guys, do you think at least one person is excited for the next time?
Not this. Don't bring this up. Oh my god.
That freaking. Oh my gosh, Luis.
Yeah.
Well, guys, when I saw that tweet, like I saw it before the episode came out, and I was just thinking like, oh, someone's gonna get one of their most wanted. Good for them. And then I was like scrolling through like the replies, and like everyone was saying like their favorite matchup or whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So there's no way to predict this. Like I can't just like it's not like everybody's in agreement of who this could be. So like there's no way to predict this. I watch Killua versus Misaka. I see Rocket in front of my face, and I'm like, no. Louise, god damn it.
It's funny because I called that like when this was before the episode came out, but like when I saw that tweet and saw how many people were speculating on it, I'm like, this has been the most like elaborate like non-hint I think I've ever seen. Like it's so like
thing ever. Like it could be
like
anything.
It's so vague and so like not meant to be like this like big hint, this like big thing to like get into, but so many people did.
They took it out of proportion. They were like, I think it was like a couple fights that people were like, oh, it could be this, like because it could be like one of the researchers most wanted or whatever. And like, I don't think Stitch versus Rocket was mentioned by anyone as an option, which is fine. Like I'm not expecting anyone to be like, oh, it's gonna be the Raptors' favorite.
It's
Stitch Raccoon.
Yeah, like we forgot to mention it's Stitch versus Rocket Raccoon.
Yes, spoilers.
Well, if you wanted this before the episode,
exactly,
what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, what the hell are you doing? But
Lilo and Stitch versus Guardians of the Galaxy / Marvel / whatever. Anyway, back to. Yeah, actually I did. One of my friends, Combo, they thought they were kind of on the right track, thinking it was just Toroya versus Iris. Like, oh, it's a big member of the community's most wanted. That'd be nice. And like, turns out they were right, just for the wrong person.
And they got disappointed. Oh no.
Oh no. They're more excited about this. They love Stitch.
Oh yeah, good.
So this is the thing.
Dude, it is the thing. Like, holy shit.
Well, I mean, we cashed in on Ant-Man and the Wasp hype, and I guess now we gotta cash in on that Guardians hype.
Dude, like, I was so, like, at the beginning of this season, like, for season 10, I was thinking, like, oh, you know, it could be, like, Rocket versus Stitch could come out, you know, in order to commemorate Guardians, and then it's like, you know, obviously it started in May, so like literally after the Guardians movie came out, and it's like, okay, we've already commemorated Ant-Man versus Adam. They're not gonna do it again for a fight that's gonna come out like significantly after the movie, and they did.
Whoops!
They just did it.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, it makes enough sense to do it, and so I mean, I'm not complaining. Even if it's after the movie, it's still commemorating the movie in some way. So
here's one thing, and I want to get your opinions on this, because this is something I kind of put together. So the Death Battle cast that they did for this episode, I think I checked, was 9 months ago. However, but you think about how long it takes for Death Battle to like come up with the ideas and, like, you know, finalize the order and, like, the seasons, and it usually takes them like a year or so. And then you also have to consider, and here's another thing, you also have to consider that the idea was probably not to start in May, because again, I think it started later because, like, some of the editors had quit and they needed to find new people.
Probably.
So they had to push it out 2 months, and that actually makes a lot of sense, because 2 months back is around the time Guardians is coming out, like, because this one's coming out on July 3rd, so it would have been way closer to when the Guardians movie was coming out. So then it makes me think, like, well, hang on a second, like, they did the cast episode 6 or 7 months ahead of when they planned to do this episode. I'm thinking maybe they did the cast episode already knowing they were going to do this episode. They just wanted to, like, warm people up to the idea, because it is kind of a weird idea.
I mean, it's a popular one, but it is a little weird if you, like, if you just
face value.
I mean, it's possible. It's let's not forget the gap between, like, let's look at, like, Johnny Cage versus Captain Falcon. Like, they did a cast episode on that, like, right before, like, Carol versus Shazam came out. Like, they showed the preview for that episode in that cast, if memory serves me right.
Okay. Then, I didn't catch that. That's interesting. But still, it's like, it just makes me think, like, they did the cast episode. Like, did they just decide after that immediately? Would 6 or 7 months have really given them enough time? I don't know. I think it could go either way, to be honest.
Here's my thinking, because I think, if I remember correctly, I think that they've done, I think the starting one of the, like, first episodes of the year they've done it, like, the past 3 years they've done a Death Battle episode, like with 2018, like, heck, where Yoda versus King Mickey was announced, they were doing Akuma versus Shao Kahn, and, you know, a few, like, later that season they did Akuma versus Shao Kahn, so I'm guessing that's, like, a bit of a thing they're gonna start doing.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, I don't want to tinfoil hat too much. Like, maybe, like, the first of, like, early
on
in the year.
They've definitely been doing, like, because, like, when Death Battle Cast started, like, when they would do community death battles, they would just do, like, whatever, like, even if it made no sense, they would just, like, they'd throw a dartboard at, like, they'd throw a stone at, like, a shelf of fictional characters and be like, all right, those two. Nowadays they've started to do matchups more, like, there've been some stupid, silly matchups here and there, but they've started to do more, like, legit, like, serious matches. So I wonder if their goal for this is to, like, for their community battles to be like, well, I mean, part of it is just to have fun. Like, I mean, they just did Venom versus Spawn. I don't know if that one's gonna come around, but
Dude, I watched the entirety of Venom vs. Spawn hoping they would talk about Stitch vs. Rocket, and they took so long for them to talk about everything that they didn't have time, and it bummed me out so much.
That's how they do it.
But I guess the point then is that, like, it's not just Stitch vs. Rocket. There are other episodes where the cast has come out, like, pretty close. I mean, not like really close, but, like, you know, within the time that you would think that they would have had to start working on the episode before the cast episode even came out. But I'm still thinking, yeah, like, they might have just, they probably were already thinking about doing the episode, because, again, I don't think 6 to 7 months is enough time. I think they were probably already working on it.
Yeah, I imagine it's just a thing to, like, maybe, like, get, like, introduce people to the idea, and then, like, a few months later, like, oh, hey. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say introduce people to it. This has been a pretty requested episode.
I know it has its fans. We're talking to one of them. But, like, you know, like, maybe to, like, people who, like, have never thought of the idea, like, that's interesting. And then a few months later, oh, hey, I can see this with my eye holes now. Awesome.
That's the issue. Like, I've had to explain this fight to people before. There are people where they're like, I don't get it. Like, what are they just like space animals? And I'm like, no, they are so much more than that. Like, get educated. My God.
Well, I mean, I guess to get into it real quick. So, what is your like experience with these two characters? Like, this has been your like this is your fight. But I'm curious, like, where do you stand on these two as characters?
So you're talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, no, in terms of that, yeah, so Stitch has been my favorite. Lilo and Stitch has been one of my favorite movies of all time. And I watched that when I was super young. I've rewatched it so many times. I'm gonna rewatch it this weekend, I hope. And I got my first Stitch plushie when I was 5. I still have it. And to me, like, from that point on, he was like my favorite Disney movie character. I loved him so much, you know. Even now, like, I have so much respect for the character. And for Rocket, I learned about Rocket when, like, the new Guardians of the Galaxy had come in the comics, because, like, the Guardians were not the way they are in the movies originally in the comics. It was different people. Like, it was Yondu. It was a completely different team. But then when the new Guardians got introduced in the comics, it's like, oh my God, like, there's this raccoon holding a gun. That's awesome. And then I kept, you know, I followed up with that a little bit. You know, I learned about Rocket and Groot and all that. And then when they were getting a Guardians movie based on these characters, I was so hyped. And then Bradley Cooper, you know, he really sold me on that character at that point. Because the reason why this matchup means so much to me is that for a lot of people, you can find a matchup that you really, really like. And then after you find out that you like the matchup, you're thinking, oh yeah, I also have this connection to this character, this connection to this character, whatever. For me, it's like, I grew up loving Stitch. I started loving Rocket a little later. I did it completely independently from each other. And then I realized later, oh shit, they work so well together. So for me, it's like, the reason why I love this fight is not based on hearing the fight randomly and thinking like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. It's the fact that these are two of the characters I have the most personal connection to, and they just so happen to have so many connections. It's actually a debatable fight. There's so much animation potential, so many things you can pull out for these two, because they both have a surprising amount of material to pull from. To me, it checks off every box that I want for a good death battle, but it's also just two of my favorite characters ever. I don't think I'm ever gonna find another fight like this. I don't think it's possible.
I appreciate the passion. I think we can all totally relate to Rappter.
Hell yeah.
It really does warm my heart when somebody's most wanted happens and they have this degree of enthusiasm that really eclipses anyone else who is just going to look at it as like, yeah, I think that's a cool idea.
Dude, the waiting. A lot of people might not have found it that fun, but the waiting period for Blake versus Mikasa will never be topped. It was honestly kind of great.
I don't know, man. Galactus versus Unicron.
Well, we'll see.
Anything can happen.
Unicron, yeah, exactly. Also, Cole versus Alex.
Well, we're already waiting for that one.
Yeah.
We're in the waiting period for that right freaking now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. So, the thing about but no, I really do. I love Raptor's enthusiasm, his passion, and again, it makes me remind myself, because I am a jaded person now thanks to this community. It's hard for me to connect with it again, you know, because the community has just made me so distant. But when I look at but then when Rappter talks about this, I can hear the excitement. I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly why I loved being a part of this community, is because we could all share and talk about these type of things before we sent death threats, before we made riots.
Don't freaking remind me.
before we threaten to tase Ben Singer, before all of that fucking bullshit.
I'm actually going to tase Ben Singer either way because one of these characters is going to die.
It's fair enough. Yeah, no. Piggybacking off of Rappter just a little bit, I think he more or less summed up my experience with these two characters, because I do remember watching Lilo and Stitch when I was a kid. I liked it. It was good, but something just didn't make it my favorite film of that era. Maybe it was just because it's like, okay, look, I grew up during the Disney Renaissance era, so
Right.
those were my films. But I liked Lilo and Stitch enough. I thought it was very, very cute, very adorable. I watched a few episodes of the show. I tuned in. I mean, Lilo and Stitch holds the record for the most. Well, I don't think it holds the record. I mean, but at least within the Disney world, it holds the record for most crossovers. It literally crossed over with every show that was on back in the 2000s era. Kim Possible, The Proud Family, Loud House, Jake Long, American Dragon, and I liked it. I really did. Rocket is a little bit of is the same as Raptor. I actually knew of Rocket a long time ago, thanks to the internet.
Yeah.
And he just looked like a cool character that had a gun. I think my first visual exposure to him was, oh my god, it must have been Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Yeah. And then, of course, his appearance on Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah, dude, the Guardians are great in Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Star-Lord is voiced by Master Chief. That's
It's
just
true.
What?
No, he's not lying. It's 100%. That's 100% true.
Yes.
Got to get that work.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So and then of course I saw the Guardians films. In my personal opinion, the Guardians films are probably one of the best film series the MCU had to offer.
They are.
Can I just go ahead and put a no spoilers on Guardians 3 thing, because
I'm gonna go see that movie. I'm gonna go see it tomorrow.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it, dude. I have fallen so far behind on the MCU.
Oh my god, you guys! Oh god, this is okay.
Here,
you guys know that this is the Rocket movie, right? Like
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. See, this is why my excitement is so high. Like, I was excited, like, whether or not this Death Battle is coming out, I was just excited that we were getting the Rocket movie. And that James Gunn was confirming that Rocket's been the secret protagonist this whole time. It's like, and I'm telling you, like, this movie, like, it enforces that. It does. So.
No, yeah, absolutely. No. Well, okay. Here's the thing, though. I'm a person who has actually quit everything Disney related. I don't watch their Star Wars stuff anymore. I don't watch their Marvel stuff anymore. I don't watch their Disney stuff anymore. They all sucked. They all continue to suck. They don't care. You know, that's a whole nother fucking topic. But it's like, I gave up on the MCU a long time ago. Maybe Shang-Chi was literally the last Marvel movie I saw in theaters. And but the Guardians and Deadpool are the two exceptions to this. Because it's like, okay, look, this is James Gunn's final hurrah before he now went over to DC, which again, oh man, it's like so much vindication for the Flash. I'm so happy. But anyway, so
I don't know if I want to give the Flash attention right now.
And yeah, no. I am. I'm excited for Guardians 3. To finally see it. I even watched the Christmas special last year. I legitimately
I haven't
watched
seen
that
that either.
It was,
Oh, come on,
God.
guys. You gotta watch this shit.
No, the Christmas special is vital for you to for Guardians 3. You have to watch it.
Noted.
Sorry. But anyway, so yeah, I like Rocket Raccoon. He is one of my favorite Guardian members. Star-Lord he's all right. I like him, but I love the little animal with the fucking gun. So
I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
No, absolutely. But I am excited for this matchup because, in my opinion, it's just, hey, it's Disney versus Disney. You can't go wrong. But also, too, this is a big deal because this is not only the third return. This is not only the third Disney character we've had in Death Battle. King Mickey does not count. But it is also the first time we've ever had a Disney animated film character in Death Battle.
Yeah.
And just after I did a big Disney Death Battle script as well, it's almost like clockwork.
Yes, and of course, this episode was announced on the 21st anniversary of Lilo and Stitch.
I saw that. That's a funny.
Hell
that's a
yes.
funny
Oh, really?
Yes. And of course, Disney in their fucking infinite wisdom is going to be like, hey, this is how we get the jump on that. Lilo and Stitch, next live action movie, do it.
Well, it's already happening. They already confirmed it.
Yeah, it's
see, it's like how you were saying that you're boycotting everything Disney. For me, I'm fine with Disney except for the live action remakes. I'm never watching those again. I don't care if it's Lilo and Stitch.
At the moment, the only live action remake I've seen is Aladdin. Which I'm not gonna lie is actually kind of solid, but it's not enough for me to watch the rest.
Here's the thing, I find these movies either fall like that they're okay, but like there's no reason to make them, or they're dog shit. Like it's
That's
one
fair.
or the other. And,
That's fair.
And Aladdin, I will say Aladdin is one of those decent ones. I can agree with you on that. The one that I actually think like has a purpose, like I actually am okay with it existing, is the Jungle Book, because it changes the story a little bit.
That's one of my favorite remakes from them. The last Disney, this isn't even a remake, but the last Disney live action film adaptation I saw in theaters was Christopher Robin.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, fucking literally made me cry. Every time I hear Winnie the Pooh's voice, it makes me cry. It's like
that one was fine.
Yeah, so I am excited for this now that it's happening. But I'm not over the fucking moon like you are, because you have a reason to be over the damn moon.
How dare you? Everyone get on my level. Come on, guys.
Oh man.
Well, I guess for me to go next, because I literally have like next to nothing to say, honestly. I mean, I'm kind of a Marvel normie. Like I watched the MCU. I watched the Guardians movies. That was kind of my first introduction to the Guardians as characters. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I got into Rocket later because, like, you know, Rappter mentioned, like, no, it was Richard that mentioned Marvel vs. Capcom. And then I watched Earth's Mightiest Heroes in prep for Ant-Man vs. Adam, but you know, the Guardians were in that and they were great. I love them. So, but I mean, yeah. But aside from those, I don't really have a lot of experience with Rocket as a character, but I still really like him. He's still really cool. For Stitch, wonder if, okay, pause. Everything okay? You guys can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, you guys are just quiet. All right, cool. Sorry, I can see like your names highlighting, and I think you're talking, and I can't hear you.
Sorry, sometimes mine does that. I have no idea why.
Record moment, yeah.
I'm like,
There we go.
I'm like, okay. I hope I'm not just talking to a bunch of brick walls. Nope, you guys are still here. Okay, cool. Just thought I'd check. Well, anyways,
Just being polite and listening to you.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just making sure. Well, for Lilo and Stitch, I watched a bit of it in the background when I was a kid, but that's really about it. I never really took the time to watch it myself. I'm gonna try to fix that during this waiting period because again, this whole new franchises thing. I wonder if that will actually count towards my media thread though. Well, I guess we'll figure that out.
No, but definitely watch it. Definitely watch it. Still one of my favorite movies. The only other Disney movie that I think I might like better is The Lion King, but that's kind of a given. Lilo and Stitch is definitely like the most personal Disney movie to me that I think ever will exist.
All right. Yeah, that's really about all I've got here.
And finally me. All right. Well, I mean, you know, I am very glad Stitch is getting on. It's been forever since I've seen the Lilo and Stitch movie or series, but I do remember some fond memories of it. I love Stitch. He's such a little. He's really adorable, really chaotic. I don't know. I want to refresh myself with it, but I do remember liking Stitch. Liking Lilo and Stitch and liking Stitch as a character, and you know, more animated films getting on. You know, love to see it.
Always.
As for Rocket, okay, I'm going to put this on record. I am going to fix this. I am going to fix this before the episode comes out.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
But I'm not that familiar with Rocket, and I think I'm the only one here who hasn't seen any of the Guardians.
I knew it. I knew.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Dude, I mean, truth be told, I don't really know why. Like, I really don't have any reason to. And again, I am going to fix this. I will fix this.
Did you see either Infinity War or Endgame?
I have seen Infinity War and Endgame. I am at least somewhat familiar with
So at least
Rocket.
you have that, yeah. But no, I'm telling you, like.
I swear, I do really want to. There.
Okay,
really
ZDogg. ZDogg,
yeah.
question. Do you have Disney Plus?
No.
Damn. Okay, never mind. I was gonna.
Don't worry, I'll find a way.
I was gonna say like if you have. I was gonna say if you have Disney Plus, once we're done recording, go watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
I like I said, I do want to watch all three before the episode comes out, and
if you can.
But no, I mean.
3's gonna be a little tricky because I'm not finding a lot of theaters that are still playing it, and it's not on any home video, so that's fine.
I'm sure I'll find a way. But anyway, at least as a very basic understanding, I do like Rocket. He seems very like a fun character to be around. But yeah, I mean, so at least. As a basic understanding, I do like both these characters. I like Stitch a lot more at the moment, but I do like these characters, and am glad they are getting the Death Battle spotlight. So if that's anything to go off of, and hey, you know, we get a new section of Marvel because this is our first Guardians episode, so that's pretty neat.
No, I saw like at least one person complain like, oh, like the same complaint, like, oh, it's another Marvel character so quick after Ant-Man, and it's like, bro, they have nothing in common. Like,
no,
this is in Marvel. It's like, what do you want?
I haven't seen that many people complain about this episode. Luckily, I mean, probably because it's of Stitch, kind of like a Poe Iron Fist situation. Even though I have actually seen a lot of people rooting for Rocket as well. So
I think.
Sorry.
No, I was like Poe versus Iron Fist. Like, I was feeling similar feelings to like Stitch versus Rocket, but significantly lower. But it's like I feel like that to me was like building up to like what, you know, that kind of fight is for me, like for Stitch versus Rocket. Like very similar. Like again, it's an animated movie versus someone from the comics, but I think this one just works so well. So many good connections. And I love Poe. I think Iron Fist is cool too, but Stitch and Rocket are my boys. They're like, they are my guys.
I'm genuinely convinced at this point that this whole like Marvel and DC burnout is blown way out of proportion.
Like listen, like
it is. Yeah.
Listen, Death Battle has gotten way better with that these past 2 years. So I think people just need to calm down. Like, and again, like this is like a new again, we haven't had any Guardians representation, so it's going to be something like not. I say that like every Marvel combined is connected to the other in some way, but like we're going to get like new coverage of characters that like I don't think Death Battle has ever talked about really.
Yeah.
No Guardians. Not.
From what I understand, that it's probably going to be scaling where they like bring up other characters that they've covered, but I mean,
they've
just
used other
story-wise,
space characters.
Yeah, but like story-wise, like we're gonna get new characters. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like Rocket himself is unlike really any Marvel character we've ever used before.
Exactly.
Like he's so
like a tortured Stitch.
Yeah, he was like so out there from the rest of the characters we've used at this point. It's like this whole thing about Burnout is like, I mean, like I kind of got it for like season 7 because not only did we get like half of the episodes feature a Marvel or DC character, but also like on top of that, like 3 of them were Spider-Man characters, for example. But like then we got like season 8, we had Avengers, we had X-Men. For like season 9, we had X-Men again, but then it brought in like these big villains that not a lot of people are really that familiar with. Like outside of like hardcore comic book fans, I don't think a lot of people have heard of like Apocalypse.
Aside from X-Men 3, like X-Men Apocalypse.
That's true too. And now we're just straight up getting Rocket Raccoon. Like, like it's.
I mean,
this is so out there from any Marvel character we've that's been used before. So,
but this is the power of the movies, right? Like no one knew who these characters were before the movies, and now they've gotten so popular that Death Battle has faith that this can get views. That's insane.
Yeah, baby.
Thank you, James Gunn.
Exactly.
All right.
So, okay, I don't think there's anything more on just our personal stuff. So I guess production.
Yeah.
So
Shit, I mean, sprites.
probably sprites.
Most likely.
I mean, I guess I could see a 3D fight working with these two, but I think it would just be a lot more natural if it was sprite based, honestly.
Yeah.
I would pop off so hard if it was hand drawn, but I don't think it's gonna be hand drawn.
No.
The hand drawn would hand drawn would be fitting, but it would probably like limit how much they could do so hard.
That's fair as well. And Rocket, Rocket has so much tech. Like you cannot put in so much.
With how much technology Rocket has, like, yeah, you gotta use at least, like, well, not half. You gotta use at least like
not half. That's still too much.
You have to use exactly half. I will be counting. No,
I counted. He has 61 weapons, so we're gonna be using 30.5 of them. No, I'm kidding.
How do you use 0.5? Anyway, you just use the gun.
So that's okay. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. I don't really. There's not really like. Yeah, I mean, this is probably sprites. And yeah, like I don't know. I mean, they probably have some decent sprites on their own. Let's face it, it's probably gonna be custom.
I mean, why would you not have Origin make the custom sprites?
I mean, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally his job now. He makes great custom sprites.
I mean, he made those Ant-Man sprites, so
That's fucking good.
Now give him Rocket Raccoon.
Exactly.
Yeah, last year he made those Xenotrunk sprites.
That's
and
true.
He just made the Killua sprites.
That is also true. So yeah, at this point, like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Stitch has like some video game out there that gives them really good sprites, but
I think it's a King. Well, I might be wrong.
I'm just hoping he has a lot of detail. Like, there's so much detail, like over his body, like on his face, especially too. I just hope we get some of that.
Yeah. it's funny because like Killua versus Misaka, this is more relevant in the debate, but this might be another like. I mean, Stitch has some like long range weaponry too, but in general, this might be a close range versus long range type of fight.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
I really hope if they do make a custom sprite, they model it like after the Disney stuff and not like the anime, because he looks fine in the anime, but like I'd prefer if it was like regular.
Right.
Hoping regular Stitch.
Mm-hmm.
The analyses can include the anime all they want, but like
right
not in the fight, please.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, my only question is, who the frick is gonna voice these two?
Will Rocket Raccoon be British? The ultimate question.
Probably not. Let's be honest.
I wish I could do a Stitch impression. It really bothers me that I can't. I feel like I should work on that.
Honestly, I don't know why, but I can totally imagine Liam being the voice of Stitch.
I was just gonna say that.
If he can do it,
I can see that, yeah.
see.
Voice Popeye.
Yeah, he did do Popeye, and that was impressive. So
Yeah, I mean,
That was key.
I'm sure he's got a decent Stitch up there. So
Probably.
whoever's the best Stitch for the job, that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
exactly.
But for Rocket, I mean, it'd be funny if he was British, but they're probably just gonna go for the Bradley Cooper approach.
Oh, probably.
But
and
actually, he's more Australian. I just thought of that. No, he's actually more Australian than British.
okay, fair enough.
At least in the stuff I've heard of him.
The fact that they're already just referring to him as Rocket and not Rocket Raccoon means that they're going to be focusing more on the movies. Because in the comics, that's just his name, Rocket Raccoon. And he has not been referred to that in the first two movies, so yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had Rocket Raccoon in the full title, but that's neither here nor there.
I hope so, but like it doesn't really matter. Like they're going to be
No, it doesn't.
Rocket. They're going to be calling him Rocket throughout the episode anyway. They're not going to be saying Rocket Raccoon very much.
Yeah.
I would still prefer it though, just personally, because to me it's kind of like you say Static, you don't say Static Shock. Like you use the proper name. Same with like you wouldn't say Spidey, you would say Spider-Man. Like you use the actual name. That's just my preference.
But I mean, the problem is I don't know who the heck can do a good Bradley Cooper impression. But
I don't even think you need to do a Bradley impression. I think you can
it just needs to be snarky and have like a sarcastic tone of voice. I think that's good enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
At this rate, probably Tom Schalk at this rate, let's be honest.
Honestly, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Either Tom Schalk or Tom Schalk or oh my God, who's another one?
Well,
Maybe,
regardless.
Maybe Michael.
Michael Clark? Maybe.
I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he did play Shazam, so
Yeah. I could see that, I guess. So, guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, then there's the question of, like what kind of music are they gonna go with? Probably some like, I can imagine some like 80s rock or something. If it's Guardians well enough.
80s chill rock, perhaps.
Yeah, probably.
They got to put that in there somewhere, but like I don't know how you're gonna mix like 80s rock with like Hawaiian Elvis music. Like that's gonna be a little tough, but I think they can do it.
Yeah. Maybe 80s sci-fi style rock music.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Honestly, if it's that case, I'm guessing it's probably going to be a Werewolf track.
Probably.
I'll take that, absolutely. Yeah, no,
Just
that's
based on, like-
another thing. Like these two characters, like their movies, like there's so much of an emphasis on music. There's so much of an emphasis on
Yeah.
family. You know, Ohana. You know, all that. Like, just, it works so well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I've kind of been driving my family a little crazy because like they know that this is happening because I've been talking about it so much. And I'm telling you, I don't usually talk to my family about like what I do on YouTube, but like
Right.
I'm not able to contain myself. Like I'm bringing like my Disney Infinity figures everywhere. I'm doing all of that, and it's like I think they're getting sick of this. So really, this is exactly what I needed to like, you know, get it out of my system a little bit.
Oh yeah.
All good.
That's fun.
No other death battle has made me act like this. Like, this is going to be the longest 2 weeks of my life.
Fair enough.
Understand.
So yeah.
Wait, real quick, because I think there's actually two more things. One, who's the researchers for this one?
Okay, yeah, sure. It's Kirby for Stitch and Speedy for Rocket. Our boy Speedy's putting in the work. First Misaka, now this.
Kirby gets to watch some anime though. That's pretty cool.
That's true. That's true.
Very interesting. And
I'm hoping when he goes over everything, like he realizes like, holy shit, this is Stitch. He can do all of this. Like,
Yeah.
And of course with Rocket, like if you're just familiar with the movies, you're also gonna be like, oh crap, like Rocket can do some insane stuff. But like especially Stitch, if you're just familiar with the one movie, dude, you are in for like something. You're in for something else.
Yeah.
He's not lying.
yeah,
He's really not though. I guess just to bring it out right now, this is a Josh directed episode. So there's that, and then it's a Liam script.
Ooh.
Okay. I'll
So
take
that's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. Oh, you know
Also,
what?
it's gonna be
Well, go ahead.
Peter's. It's gonna be Peter's. Another Peter edited one, and we're gonna see how
Parker.
they'll handle comic panel. Parker, my bad.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
I understand the confusion.
If Spider-Man's gonna be working on Stitch, well then Rocket's gonna win.
So it's funny because literally the last episode, I said like I want Parker to do a comic episode because that's kind of the gold standard for death battle edits. Comic and manga, obviously, but little did I know that the literal next episode is going to feature a Marvel character.
Yeah, I certainly didn't know.
I don't know how that works.
So yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah, so gonna be interesting how they'll handle the comics. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that Rocket's design in the comics has also changed dramatically across the years. So I'm excited to see like, you know, one comic panel that shows him in one design, and then the next second they bring up another one. It's like, who's that? He's not the same guy.
Yeah.
All right, and one more thing actually before we probably get on who would win, and why.
Okay.
Sorry. So I meant to bring this up last episode, but I think we just got distracted. What symbol do you guys think this is on the Cipher wheel?
Oh yeah, that's a good. That's probably a good thing to bring up.
I have three ideas. Like, at first I was thinking like it's the beaker with the
Yeah, I'm
the
like
spiky ball.
convinced that it's the beaker.
Well, so the reason why I say that is because like, especially like they had before they said like the whole summer coming from far out or whatever, they had a flash of like chemical elements, which makes me think like, okay, yeah, so it might be the beaker, and of course the spikes, like Stitch has spikes on his back in his true form. I'm also thinking like, I remember when I was making predictions from the Cipher wheel, I actually did throw Stitch versus Rocket into the mix, but I did it as the star, like, you know, like among the stars or whatever. And then there's also the fact that they're saying like, you know, surfing the alligator, like could it be the wave? Like,
oh yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
They have like the whole beach thing in the background, like is it supposed to be like, I don't know, riding the waves of space as well? Like, is that kind of what they're going for? I think honestly, I think it could be any of the three.
I'm gonna say it's the wave.
I'm personally gonna say it's the star because I don't know. I mean, the wave does make sense based on that, but
I'm gonna say it's the
would
beaker.
feel weird.
So
It would just feel
we're all
weird
at odds.
'cause, like, yeah. Well, okay. Here's my thing with like the wave. I just think because that only pertains to Stitch, or like it doesn't really pertain to Rocket.
I
and if
mean-
they're
Not literally.
I don't
yeah.
think that matters.
no,
Because like one of the symbols is just straight up an atom.
Yeah,
So-
but that means shrinking though. Like that doesn't just mean atom.
yeah, that can also be applied to both of them. To be fair, so.
I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see because I know DJ said something about he'll make a video or they'll explain it at the end of the year. But
Yeah.
at the moment, I just think the star makes the most sense because they are.
Well, either way, I
from
remember.
space.
Either way, I remember like a fan theory that like as these episodes were getting announced more and more, I remember people saying like, is the Cipher wheel in like counterclockwise order? Because
No.
we had the atom, and then we had the two swords, and then the beaker. Like you could make an argument for it to apply to at least Misaka. After all, her show is in fact called A Certain Scientific Railgun. So it's like, is it counterclockwise? No matter what, I don't think this episode relates to the pentagram at all.
Dude,
so
like I put some thought into this. The closest thing that this episode relates to the pentagram is the fact that in the first Lilo and Stitch movie, Stitch is causing trouble while the song "Devil in Disguise" plays in the background. that's literally the closest thing I've been able to find to matching it to the pentagram.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I think that's a bit.
So yeah, either way you look at it, that fan theory is dead. Good riddance.
Exactly.
I never bought into that anyway. It's like
No, I didn't either. I thought it was.
No.
I didn't either. I thought that was too like predictable. Yeah.
So.
I
don't know.
Speaking of which, who on God's green earth is winning this?
See, like, I don't know if you guys saw my prediction video, but basically for me, it's like either one of these characters can win so easily. It's like, it's like Stitch. If Stitch gets in close, even for a little bit of time, Rocket is toast. Rocket cannot stand up to that physical strength, and he doesn't have a lot of good options. Like I think he might have carried like around some knives at some points, but like that's not a good option against Stitch. That's not gonna work. And in terms of Rocket, like he's got a weapon that he claimed could kill a weakened Thanos at 100% capacity. And later we see him use it on Thanos, and we don't really know what capacity he's using it. And keep in mind, Thanos is still weakened. But it does hurt him. Like it does do some damage.
Yeah.
A weakened Thanos can still take a hit from like the Cosmic Cube. Like it's
yeah. So
it's
that's the thing. It's like whether or not the 100% it'll kill you thing, like that could have been some talk, maybe not, I don't know. But I think it's very easy to argue that Rocket has a gun capable of killing Stitch. And the fact that
he has multiple weapons that can kill Stitch. That's kind of the big thing. Is like if Rocket has so many weapons that can like compete with higher tier characters. Like he's got freaking hammers that can damage tech that was taking hits from like the Hulk and Thor. It's like this dude's got so much going for him. Like he's got so many weapons that all could one-shot Stitch. The problem is that Stitch with his bare freaking hands can one-shot Rocket.
See, that's the thing. And the thing is, like, the other problem for Stitch that I think of is Rocket's maneuverability, because Rocket's got a jetpack. So if he can keep his distance and keep firing at Stitch, then that's going to be an issue for Stitch, because Stitch, but then the other thing I bring up, and again, like, I don't know if you guys have seen my prediction. If you have, then I'm just going to be repeating myself a little bit. But Stitch's guns, theoretically, should also be able to hurt Rocket, because they've been able to damage characters that are as durable as Stitch. So, from a distance, you could make the argument either of the characters could kill each other. Either of them could overcome the other character's durability. But when they're up close, Stitch is the only one with the advantage. So
it honestly sounds like speed is the main.
Speed is gonna kill this one.
But like they both operated vehicles. You could, like, in space, you could probably argue they both have massively faster than light speed reactions. Like, where do you go from there? You know, that's the reason why I am ever so slightly leaning towards Stitch. And it's okay if you disagree, because I love both the characters. I do think, Rocket can easily win, so easily, but so can Stitch, So the reason why I'm so slightly leaning towards Stitch is because Stitch has a ton of counters that he may or may not get the opportunity to use. Like, he can catch and redirect energy beams. He's done it many times before. He can spit on technology and make it short circuit. Again, he'd have to get close enough, but he can still do that. And again, the guns from the long distance. The main thing that makes me think that he could take advantage of this is that he has a brain that can operate faster than a supercomputer, and he's used it to perfectly adapt to his situation and take advantage of his advantages as soon as he knows what he needs to do. So the fact that Death Battle likes to incorporate as many aspects of the characters as possible makes me think that if Stitch has counters and he has ways to use them and a supercomputer that could argue that he could use them, I think they might go that route, to be honest. But I'm not confident at all. Like, I could see them just saying... The other thing is that if they go for Rocket, the reasoning is a lot more straightforward and a lot more boring. Like, it's just, he shoots Stitch and he kills him. The reasoning for Stitch is a lot more interesting. And that's another reason why I'm thinking they might go for Stitch. Because they wouldn't want to give, like, a one-sentence conclusion. So, I don't know. That's kind of me, but that's why I love this fight, because it is so debatable.
Bizarre.
So,
oh boy.
So the way I see it is that it really comes down to, okay, so obviously Stitch would needs one hit in up close and he wins. The thing is, for me, is that I wonder if I should have done some, at least some digging before starting, but I wonder if there's any way to argue Rocket being at least comparable to higher tier characters like Thor or I don't know, but in speed. Because if that's the case, then that's just it. Because some of these Marvel higher tier characters have speeds that are impossible to calc.
The problem that I have with that is that everyone in Marvel has fought everyone in Marvel.
That's true.
If they do that, then I think they need to reevaluate Iron Fist versus Poe. Because at that point, Iron Fist has also fought characters like that.
That's true.
It's hard to say, the outliers are a thing. We have to remember that outliers.
Right, it obviously has to be consistent. Obviously.
Yes, it has to be consistent, and you never know, during the context of the story, it's very possible for a character to have not used their full strength on someone. Go figure, but it's true. So you have to really this is another reason why Death Battle is so much more than just a respect thread reading. You have to understand the context, and you have to say, does this actually make sense? Is this consistent? Does it make sense? Was the character actually going all out, against Rocket? So the reason why I'm very hesitant for that is that if they go that route and they say, oh yeah, Rocket is incalculable by scaling to this guy, then at that point, I don't think there's ever a reason to put a Marvel character or a DC character against a non-Marvel or DC. At that point, I think it doesn't make sense. So I understand what you're saying, and they could do that. That is an angle you can take. I don't really like that reasoning personally, because then it's like, what's the point of doing Marvel and DC against anyone else?
Well, the other problem with this, I mean, it's more interesting for the episode, but trying to predict it is like, the Guardians as a whole are severely under-researched. Like, we're hitting the under-researched territory on this season, apparently. It's like first Ant-Man and Adam, and now this.
It is also under-researched, I would say. Like, there are not a lot of people that know of his anime.
I mean, that's true. But
in the anime, again, it's crazy, insane stuff.
Yeah, like there's some like legit like black hole stuff from the anime. It's crazy.
Multiple times, Stitch survived a bomb that blew up a black hole while he was in a black hole, and he was okay. So,
why not?
Like,
that's exactly what you'd expect from a little blue rat from a cartoon.
And he's fought characters like Dark End. He's like a super rabbit, and he's stronger than Stitch. And Stitch used Power Surge to increase his abilities and beat him. So, like, you guys got to know this stuff, right? Like, if people are going in and thinking like, oh yeah, Rocket wins because he's from Marvel, it's like, okay, yeah, there is scaling you can go for that, but you got to know what you're talking about for both sides. Like,
exactly.
Right.
Stitch is an anime character at his best. That says something.
But see, that's the problem right there. That's the problem right there. And I think I just found a way to, and I think I just found a wrench in this that could give Rocket the win.
All right.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think the anime is going to be taken into account. I think that at most,
I don't agree with that.
I'm sorry. Look, it's true. Like, look, because yes, the anime had him take off and do fantastical Dragon Ball GT shit, but it's like, look, the reality of it is that, first of all, that anime is very obscure. Like, I wouldn't blame them if they didn't, even though they're researchers, I can't say I wouldn't blame them if they didn't want to use it, because it's not official Disney stuff. And most of the fans do not count that anime because it bastardizes the character of Stitch by having him and Lilo just abandon each other because Lilo is grown up and Stitch is, he can't stay on Earth anymore.
Okay. Counterpoint, and I don't know if this is going to make sense to you, but counterpoint, if they don't include the anime, it doesn't make sense to include Legends for Star Wars. Because to me, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's an expansion on what is normally canon, and the fact that I'm pretty sure I'm getting this right. In the anime, Stitch meets up with adult Lilo at some point.
Yeah, I know that. I know that.
So they are trying to keep the continuity in check. Even though Stitch is a lot stronger than normal, it's not like Archie Sonic where it's a completely different timeline and like the history is different. This is just supposed to be a sequel to what we've seen in the Lilo and Stitch TV show and the movies. To me, it's like, if you say we're not including the anime, it's like, well, why the hell are you including Legends for Star Wars?
Well, if I may shoot down this entire conversation real fast. Okay, well, first off, let me just say I'm rooting hard for Rocket. Like, I have nothing against Stitch, but but my Marvel bias is kicking in. But I'm probably gonna screw him over when I say this. The Stitch anime is included in Ultra's suggested media blog.
Okay, well, there you go.
So,
From what I've heard, there's like, I mean, obviously, besides what Rappter said, I don't think there's any reason it shouldn't be included. Like,
yeah, no, and also too, Legends, and again, like Legends and the canon of Star Wars now are not the same thing. They really aren't. So I understand that. But my thing is, where I'm coming from is, even now that we know they are including the anime, here's the thing about it though. I do think it is going to come down to, okay, look, if this was just a fist fight and Rocket doesn't get his guns, his gadgets, his gizmos, his anything that he always carries in his repertoire. Here's the problem with that. Then yeah, of course, Stitch wins because this is a no-holds-barred fight. And Rocket's whole thing is he's a long-distance fighter. He's not really much of an up-close fighter, and so there is that. But I do think there is a lot more evidence to suggest that it could be given to Rocket, because again, even if they're probably most definitely going to scale Rocket to one of the Guardians. It could be Drax, or it could be comic book Peter Quill. And let me tell you something, comic book Peter Quill is a completely different beast compared to movie comic book Quill. I mean, so I think, plus also too, there's the fact that I think they will give Rocket the speed advantage. I mean, I know they're not a trusted source of information, but Versus Wiki has Rocket at massively hypersonic. But it could be faster than that.
That's some BS. I'm just gonna say that right now. There's Marvel
are faster than that.
Dude, Marvel's street tiers are have light speed reactions at this point. There's
exactly. At least. Yes. So my reasoning is I think it is going to come down to it is going to come down to speed, but it's also going to come down to tech. And the fact of the matter is, Rocket, we can't ignore it. Rocket has a gun that was able to harm and injure Thanos. It doesn't matter if it barely did anything. The fact of the matter is, it hurt him. It hurt the guy who had the powers of a god. So
I did think of something that again, it all depends on who's faster. But I know the shots can, but there could be. You make an argument for Stitch if he's faster, disarming Rocket or destroying the guns.
It's true.
You could eat the gun. You could spit on the gun and make it short circuit.
Yeah, he could consume gun. He could melt it. Yeah, I don't know, just freaking eat it away.
The thing with me is that yes. Stitch has not Stitch. It would be cool if Stitch did. Rocket has a gun that can hurt Thanos. Yes, he has the phasic cannon or whatever you call it. I think there's more to the name or whatever. But if they include that for him, then yes, he has that thing. The thing that I keep going back to, and again, this kind of plays into what I said about them both being able to hurt each other long range. It's it doesn't matter necessarily if Rocket has the most powerful tech. What matters more is whether or not they can overcome each other's durability. Because at that point, it's if they can both kill each other, then they can both kill each other. And even though Stitch's tech is not as strong as Rocket's, and even though Stitch's physical strength may not be as strong as Rocket's tech, they still each have the capability to kill each other. So at that point, it makes me think that Stitch's ability to use counters, redirecting energy, spitting on technology to make it short circuit, him having those, and the supercomputer brain that will alert him of that to me makes me think that Stitch can just barely pull it off. Because Rocket doesn't have that kind of brain, He's a smart guy, but...
No, I think you are underestimating Rocket's intelligence because, look, the fact that there's one other thing, too. Stitch is not the most brightest character in this battle. He's smart. I'm not saying he's dumb, but he essentially does have the character, and he did develop over time in his series. But for the sake of the animation, I'm just going to assume they're going to have Rocket be the more intelligent and capable one, because that's Rocket's whole deal. He is the brains of the Guardians. He is always the one to come up with some way to get them out of a sticky situation. He's pretty much their Batman. And I think that and I don't know if he's deemed one of the smartest Marvel characters, but he is at least, he's smart enough to be respected by the smartest of smartest characters.
I will say, I'm looking at the blog right now. It is said that both Cable and Star-Lord have called Rocket one of the greatest tactical minds they've ever met.
There you go.
I do. Okay, so I will say yes. Rocket is a smart strategist, absolutely. I was just trying to say that he doesn't have like a brain like literally designed to be better than a supercomputer. But yes, you're absolutely right. He's a smart guy. The issue that I kind of have though is that I see Rocket is like Rocket has done stuff on his own before, but I also see him as kind of like a Beast situation where he does strategize, but he needs the help of like Groot's muscle in order to properly capitalize on that strategy, and a lot of the time. And for me, it's like Stitch has a lot more one-on-one fighting experience. Like this is more his wheelhouse, in my opinion.
I agree and disagree with that statement. I disagree because, okay, yes, Rocket has mostly relied on his teammates and Groot, but that's just it. He has done missions to where he himself has gone by himself to do and accomplish the mission. So it's not like he is entirely dependent on having a team, Rocket to Rocket. Having the Guardians be there, it does help. But when the chips are down and he has to go and do something, he can do it because that's just it. He wouldn't be that tactical. And also too, him and Beast are on two completely different sides of their fighting spectrum. Just because it's like, okay, look, Beast is a character who does not like violence. He's a pacifist. He never likes to engage in a fight. It doesn't matter what shape or size it is, he will not engage. Only if he specifically has to, he'll do it. Whereas with Rocket, he's a troublemaker. He's always looking for a fight. He relishes the getting into bar fights or scuffles or what have you, and he knows unlike Beast, he has a huge bite with his guns, his tactical mind, and then you throw in the idea, and I think they will give him the speed advantage because again, he is a Marvel character, and if they scale him, and if they reasonably have concluded that okay, he can't be directly scaled, but he is he's at least close to the same ballpark as these other Marvel tier characters. So yeah, I do. I can. I don't know. Something is telling me they will give it to Rocket. Something is just telling me that they're going to give it to him.
That's fine. Yeah, he absolutely he can easily win. But in my opinion, both of them can. It just depends on how what happens in the fight. Which is again part of the reason why I love this fight so much, because there are a lot of matchups where it's like one character has a lot of advantages or whatever, and they're very clear advantages, and then that just gives away who wins. Here, a lot of the advantages are also very clear cut. Stitch is a lot stronger and durable. Rocket has a lot more firepower and more versatility and all that. But yet, we still don't know who wins.
Yeah, that's the thing. The question isn't the question isn't can either are either of them capable of killing each other? That's not the question, because the answer is yes.
Yes.
The question is who's more likely to do it. It's like I saw a lot of people when this fight was announced, like they were questioning like, does Rocket really have the tech that can pull this off? And the answer is a pretty blatant yes, he does. That's not the question. The question is the question that's on my mind above all else is Rocket fast enough to land a hit with these weapons?
Again, the maneuverability on its own is already putting him in a good position because it allows him to potentially stay out of reach. It's kind of like Boba Fett and Predator. Like if he can just stay back, and it's like that means Stitch is going to have to work to get in close.
Right.
But I still see either like again, I love this fight because it has two of my favorite characters. It's a debatable fight, clearly. So many connections. Like it really is everything that I want in a fight. There's nothing left out. Everything is there.
So unless anyone else has anything else to add, I think it's time to place our votes.
I just hope they do Rocket's character. I'm sorry. I just hope they do Stitch's character and Rocket's character justice. Because I immediately deduct points if I see some bit of mischaracterization That's just how it is. Like I'm very critical of this show for a good reason. You know, it's passion, for God's sakes.
Right.
And I think nobody will have more reason to be critical of how this episode played out more than Rappter. You know, I'm just saying, it's like, I just want Stitch's character to be well done, because if I don't want another Poe situation. Like, Poe got into death battle, for the most part he was in character, and then you had that one little tiny element that just, boop, it took you out of the moment. It's like, no, that was unnecessary.
Well, as far as votes are concerned,
Wait, sorry. When you say votes, do you mean like who we're rooting for or who we're betting on?
Who we're betting on.
Who we're betting on.
Okay.
I mean, I'm rooting for Rocket hard.
Yeah, I got that.
As far as who
I have no.
It's tough, right?
Like, it's very equal. Like, you could make easy arguments either. Like, just,
Easy arguments, man. That's the way it is.
if it's really the maneuverability, I think I'm gonna go with Rocket.
All right.
I think I'm probably, you know what, I'm gonna make this interesting. I'm gonna go Stitch, honestly.
Well,
Because,
I can't abstain.
Well, we already know who you think, right,
I
Jedi
was
Bender?
gonna say, you're pretty clearly going for Rocket, so.
Well, see, here's the twist of it all. I like Stitch. I really do. You know, like, I do like Stitch, and I like his world. I like his character. Problem is, it's like, okay, I like a little, and hell, I would actually say Stitch is a much better character in my eyes than Rocket. Like, if you put a gun to my head, I would say that Stitch is the best character between the two. It's just how it is, you know.
Well, that's not what we're asking.
No, I know that's not what you're asking. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I mean, cool.
With all that being said, look, all right, since I can't abstain,
if I had a coin up here, that'd be great, but I don't.
I'm just gonna, you know, no, fuck, I'm not gonna let fate decide for me. I'm going Rocket. Give me Rocket.
All right.
This is a Liam-led script. If I had a nickel for every time Liam had his hands on a Marvel or DC related episode that turns out to give the Marvel character a win, I have probably one, maybe two, maybe a couple nickels, maybe.
Yeah,
it's not a lot, but you know, a little bit.
So you're going with the meta argument. Got it.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it's something. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, because, like, I could honestly, like, right now I'm honestly going with my gut. If I hear, like, any, like, concrete speed feeds, like, maybe that'll change, but I think just my gut just, I don't know, I think just, like, I don't know, I'm feeling there's going to be something where Stitch, like, manages to maneuver around and destroy Rocket's guns. Or maybe he'll just, I don't know.
Okay, so
again, for me, it's like, you know, the reasoning for Rocket winning is very, very straightforward. And it's like they can do that if they want to, but it's like, are they really gonna go over all of Stitch's counters? And they take like 2 minutes to say that, and then like, but alas, he could not use any of them. Like, I don't know.
I think it wouldn't. I mean, this is death. I mean, we're what?
They kind of did that for the Chosen Undead.
Yeah, I mean, we're over 100. We're over 170 episodes in, and to go back.
No. Actually, that's actually interesting to bring up. This is episode 175.
Yep. This is 175.
Yeah. What a good place to have. Hey, at least this will be a better special occasion episode than whatever the fuck Macho Man versus Kool-Aid Man is supposed to be. I'll give it that. I'm not letting that go, by the way. I still think that's the worst episode of all time. Just saying. Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, yes, Rappter brings up a good point. if they just give it to Rocket and they give us the straightforward shit, yes, that's going to be a little bit clear cut, and there's not going to be any juicy meat to that. Whereas with Stitch, it pretty much is going to be like, okay, like, look, there's actually some interesting shit here. It's like an onion. The more you peel it, the more layers you find. But again, people, I do agree. Marvel characters, when they're not facing DC characters, some of them are pretty powerful. And there is a part of me that wants Stitch to win but also, more importantly, something we haven't addressed, I want this episode to succeed because then we could get more Disney animated characters. This is them testing the waters. There's a reason why they don't do these as often as they should. It's because of, the fucking mouse over there that's just ready to fucking have a reason to strike this down. I mean, like, look, after this fight, and if it's
fear the big mouse.
Give me Disney Hercules versus Maui.
Thank you. Let's do it.
Well, absolutely. So,
like, any cartoons, any like animated movie characters, like bring it on. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm biased towards it, but I mean, there is Jafar versus Maleficent as well. Maybe there's a little something that kind of pushed me towards that. Maybe something.
And it's like, again, more Disney animated film representation would also be nice. Even though there isn't a lot of them. So the votes go as followed: Brobuscus and myself, Rocket, and Rappter and ZDogg get Stitch.
Yeah,
seems like it.
I am not going to be surprised if Rocket wins, so I'm going to say that right now.
Absolutely not.
I'm the opposite as well. I'm not like if Stitch does win, then it's like oh well, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, if either one wins, it's like it's fair enough because they have reasoning. As long as there's reasoning, then it can work. Especially in this fight where it's like it really is 50-50. Like holy shit. Yeah. Again, this fight though to me is so much more than just who wins. As long as there's nothing offensive in this fight, and as long as it is a standard plus death battle episode where it talks about the characters, it does them justice, it makes them kill each other. Like as long as it does that, I know I'm gonna love it. I'm so fucking excited.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
All right then.
Okay.
Right.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we're coming towards the tail end of it.
Yep.
All right.
So, Rappter, you are our guest of honor. You are sitting in our golden guest chair that we absolutely have.
I spent real money on.
Yeah, he spent like $20 on the thing. It actually kind of took us back a little.
I spent over $200.
It feels nice. It feels nice.
Good. That's what the good. I made sure that the cushioning and the leather was good. It's like I'm a very. I like to put passion into my work.
I didn't know you could make leather out of gold, but it's so
storm.
cool.
I know. Trust me, I know a guy.
Okay, great, awesome.
Cool.
He's the one who made my. He's the one who made my fucking crown. Look at my crown.
Crown,
my crown makes the drip. My crown gives me 10 times more drip.
So,
tell him I say thank you.
Well, anyways, there's the Florida storm.
Wow, that came in a lot later than I expected.
I don't know if anybody can hear that, but here we are. We're in storm season now, so that's fun. Anyways, as I was saying, so what we do with guests is we ask them some questions. We're interrogating you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh boy.
They're mostly death battle stuff, so you should be good. We typically ask them their opinions on things, and you know how that goes. So why don't we start with the more negative side of things? Because this has been a pretty positive episode so far. So what is your least favorite episode of Death Battle?
Oh God. I will say the one that rubs me the wrong way the most is Luke Skywalker versus Harry Potter. Mainly because I really wish that we got it like later, like when there was not even, it doesn't have to be like a season 10 fight, like even if it was just like season 2, like I know that it would have just been so much better scripted. The thing that pisses me off the most actually is that the conclusion is literally just a recap of the fight as it happens. It's not even really reasoning.
That's kind of season 1. That was kind of season 1 at the time, so...
Yeah, sure, yes, but, like, especially that one. Like, at least, like, even for someone like Felicia versus Taokaka, it's like, oh yeah, Taokaka had a slight speed advantage. Like, that's all you get, but, like, fine, whatever. With Harry and Luke, it's like, oh, Luke did this, but then Harry did this. Luke did this, and then Luke won. Like, that's what the reasoning is. It's not reasoning.
Yeah.
So, I'll be honest, I haven't really, like, thought about, like, my least favorite one. But I think as an initial answer, as, like, my first instinct, I'll say that one. I'll just go
Interesting.
With that one.
That's an interesting pick. I've never heard that before. This is kind of
Luke and Harry.
I
want them to be in a better episode.
Yeah, this is kind of an episode that's like people acknowledge it exists and then move on. I mean, I haven't watched it in a minute, but I did rewatch it for a video I was going to do, and yeah, I did get the same feeling with the recap, but it really does feel like a season 1 episode in all of the weird ways.
In the worst ways. Yeah.
Like especially in the fight, like the sprites are awful, the choreography is the quality, just the overall quality is just not there. I mean, I get it's like it's Ben animating it, and he obviously was still trying to like hit that strive that he didn't really hit until the very end of his animating career.
Yeah.
But even still, like I really think that using Star Wars as early as they did, for as popular of a franchise as it is, using Star Wars as early as they did for the lack of resources they had was a really bad idea. Because if you look at like Luke's episode and then you get like, I know it's the first episode, but you can't deny that Boba Fett's I'm more referring to the sprites. The Star Wars sprites are awful. I mean, Harry's isn't better, but
I will say one of the things I kind of like about the episode is that Harry is voiced by Chad James. Like, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's the only character on Death Battle he's ever voiced. It's his only time he's ever voiced like an actual combatant. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But whatever.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. This episode's just there. It exists.
Definitely exists.
I'm sure, like, if I had more time, like, I think I could probably come up with something that I could say is objectively worse. But
Right.
like, if we're going like a more personal route, then
Yeah.
I say Luke versus Harry. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's your least favorite. It's not my least favorite. So I mean,
Right.
whatever. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, like we're not
It's
asking
like
we're not asking what the worst episode of the show is. We're just asking.
That's the thing. It's like everyone who says like, oh, this episode should be higher on your list, or this episode should be lower on your list, like in rankings or whatever. It's like, dude, if there was like a should, there's no point in making these videos because
Right.
we both already know the order.
Exactly.
Like, come on, get over yourself.
Right.
Anyway, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
Understood.
I will say, I mean, I don't. Kind of touchy subject, but you said like this is a fight that you wish would have been done later. I know you did clarify that like you more meant like even just going to season 2 would have been nice, but I will say I'm kind of glad this one was as early as it was because I'm not really sure I want Harry Potter on the show anymore.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
I will.
I'm
if it weren't for that, I'd be more okay with it. It's just hearing about that.
Yeah.
But you know, that's something that I really don't want to talk about.
Yeah,
I'll
same.
I'll say one quick thing, like just very, very brief. Yes, I totally get it. That is something to consider. I do also have to remind myself, though, that especially when it comes to the movies, it's not just based on one person. Like, the properties are made by a lot of people who put a lot of hard work into this stuff, and one shitty person should not ruin that, in my opinion.
I mean, that's fair, too, yeah. I mean, I don't really have much room to talk. I did just literally buy Crash Team Rumble yesterday, so, I think any and all validation I just had is gone, so we're gonna move on.
Because I want to say.
I mean, I say that as if I regret doing it, which is false. Right. All right, well, we're done with negativity. What's your favorite episode?
Stitch versus Rocket. No, I'm gonna say right now. I'm gonna say Goku Black Reverse Flash. I know that there's a big reason to say why it shouldn't be, and the fact is that it is a complete stomp, like to the point where, like, you know, Death Battle could easily just say, you know, oh yeah, no, we don't want to do this because it's not fair. But the personality that just spills out of this episode is too infectious. It's too much fun.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
God. It's
and aside from power levels, like Goku Black and Reverse Flash are actually the perfect match for each other. Like, just
for
put
sure.
Power levels aside. So that's part of the reason why it's like, okay, fine, go ahead and do it. Because like there were some people who were saying like, oh, why are they saying, you know, we wouldn't do Trunks versus Silver because it's too much of a stomp, but then they go ahead and do Goku Black versus Reverse Flash. And I understand that reasoning, and to some extent I agree with it.
Yeah.
But I think you also have to look at the other prospects, because Death Battle is an entertainment show first. If it wasn't, they wouldn't be making videos, they'd be making vlogs.
Right.
So yeah, you have to think about that. And Goku Black versus Reverse Flash, like, it had so much potential.
It's just too fun.
Yeah, it did more than I thought it was going to. So like I have to respect that.
Oh yeah.
Like both these two, especially Reverse Flash, are just such, like, I mean, they're just evil, and it's great. Like it's
unforgivably evil. Yes.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's wonderful. I love it. When they were going over like the very petty and cruel acts that that Thawne has done to Barry. It's like, it's so evil. It's so unforgivable. It's so horrible, and I love it. It's hilarious. Like Reverse Flash is just such a fun character that I just like. Obviously, like, he's an awful person. Like that's just a given.
But you love him.
Yeah, but you love him. He's just so fun. He's such a fun villain, and that's portrayed very, very well in the fight. I mean, you know you're flexing when the episode literally opens with "It was me, Barry." Like,
yeah. And we get to see him murder Quicksilver.
Yeah. Gosh, I love that they got. I love that they got the same guy who made that meme to voice him too. That's such a good detail.
That is actually like unbelievable that they were able to do that. It's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. This episode's great.
Good. I'm so glad it happened, man.
Mm-hmm.
Guys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this is an interesting question because I know we're getting it next, but I have to ask. What is your new most wanted episode? Like, what is? At least, or maybe if that's too hard, just name a matchup you really want to see.
So funny you should say that. This is part of the reason why I popped off so hard for Stitch versus Rocket. I made a top 10 list of my most wanted death battles 3 weeks before Stitch versus Rocket was announced. That's part of the reason why it's like, you gotta be kidding me. You're doing it now? Oh my god. So technically I could tell you but it's a very boring answer because
That's fine.
It was the answer that I had for like years before Stitch versus Rocket, and then that one quickly overtook it. It's Galactus versus Unicron. That's the one that I was waiting for like a really long time, and then it's like, okay, Stitch versus Rocket overtook it. It's now number 2. My number 3, I guess I'll say, is Bugs versus Mickey, which maybe is a little more interesting.
I guess we can give. I guess we can give the spotlight to both of them. Sure. Holy crap! That's a storm.
I hear it.
But I guess we'll go into Galactus versus Unicron first because that's kind of like a very like, yeah, duh. I feel like it's so unfortunate because like, okay, I still think this fight would be really freaking cool. I still really want to see it. I think the problem that we face right now is that, you know, there's the phrase, you know, patience is a virtue. I feel like that's not always true. And I feel like that's kind of the case with this fight. This is a fight that they've talked about doing for literal years. It's like they mentioned it at a panel, like, yes, at some point there will probably be Galactus versus Unicron. That was, what, 7 years ago? And
Something like that.
And we still don't have it. And it's like, it's gotten to the point where people just don't care anymore. It's like, they kind of accepted it. It's like, yeah, I mean, it is a fight that will probably happen, and it will probably be really freaking good, but it's not a match that's like, that was, like, this was this was kind of hyped up as, like, the next big Goku versus Superman. Like,
and then
like,
it just wasn't.
And that just wasn't. It just faded off.
No, I get that, yeah.
Like, it's a match people still talk about. It's a match people still think would be fun. But it's just, I feel like this is a problem where, like, we've waited too long. And I think we're at the point where people just don't care anymore.
That's
then you don't have to include me as people, because I'll enjoy it. I'll enjoy it so much. Like, I'm sure there are other people.
No, I'd be, dude.
But,
I am a gargantuan Transformers fan. I'd be so down.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And the fact that Unicron is actually gonna be in a movie now is, you know, could it? Maybe.
Dude,
probably not.
No.
But you know, we'll see.
Side note, no spoilers, but Rise of the Beast is really damn good.
Isn't it the first one aside from Bumblebee that like is not Michael Bay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's why.
Like this is after. It's after Bumblebee, and it's not connected to the rest, despite what the press might say.
Right.
But no, I saw this movie twice. That just kind of goes to show.
I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3 twice. No reason why. I just thought I'll see again.
It's like I adored that movie. That's just a side note. But that doesn't have much to that doesn't have much to do with this. I just thought I'd bring it up. Man, does anybody remember the days when we thought, like, when the common opinion on this match was, if Galactus doesn't get the ultimate nullifier, then Unicron wins. If he does, then he loses. You remember those days? Those were the great days. And now it's just like, oh well, Galactus just literally has the ultimate nullifier, like, as a part of him, and it's like, oh well, okay.
Well, isn't it that, like, doesn't Unicron kind of like exist in like a ton of places like simultaneously or something? Like, is that true? Am I getting...
As far as I can remember, this could have been retconned. I could be wrong, but
okay.
I remember hearing that, like, every version of every, like, universe of Transformers where you see Unicron, like every show or every comic or whatever that you see Unicron, it's still the same character.
So Dark Side.
Yeah, kind of. Like, it's not like different versions of the character. It's the same character, just in another universe, because that makes sense.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I was gonna say that even if that is the case, and it's like he has like that level of protection or whatever. The fact is, the Ultimate Nullifier has destroyed multiverses on its own.
Yeah.
So like that wouldn't even be enough, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, I think that's a pretty solid win for Galactus. I mean, I don't like Galactus, don't get me wrong, but you know, me being the Transformers fan, you know, we have 2 episodes. I like one of them. It's the funny that it's the one that they ended up winning, but but we need more Transformers on this show. That's really what I'm trying to say. Like that's
be down.
That's that is not a suggestion. That is fact. I don't know how we've gone 175 episodes and only 2 of them feature Transformers. That feels like a crime.
It was enough to get 1 Stitch episode though, so I'll let it slide.
There you go.
And one Guardians.
Yeah. And then Bugs versus Mickey. I mean, this is one that I think like we're just going to get at some point. It's just a.
It would feel like a crime if we didn't get it, honestly, with like how iconic the matchup is. Like, how can we not get it?
Right. It's just
kind
of.
I understand more so waiting because like you want to make sure you can perfect it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is a fight that's like. We can and probably will do it. The question is how. And for the longest time they haven't found an answer to that, and to my knowledge, at the moment they still haven't. Although I think Saitama versus Popeye was a good like step in the right direction with the whole like differing like animation styles thing.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's enough, but it was that's in the right direction.
Yeah. It's just it's a matter of waiting until they've hit that like spark and they feel like yes,
which is fair.
We can do this now. Like
totally fair. I'm fine waiting.
Yeah, for sure. And man, dude, I dread the researching for that because like especially for the blog, we only have 2 weeks at this point. It's like, do you really think we have like? Do you really think 2 weeks is enough to research Mickey Mouse alone? And then like throw Bugs Bunny into the mix, and it's like, okay, it's kind of a daunting task, but I'm sure we could do something.
And this is another one like Stitch versus Rocket, where it's like I have so much history with both of them. It doesn't matter to me who wins. I just want to see the fight.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I mean, including everything. As far as I know, the last time I heard this match, it seemed like the consensus was in Bugs' favor. But
both, just alternating. I've heard it. I've heard everything you could imagine.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm also fine with whoever. Like I don't really have much of a preference one way or the other.
That seems like one where it's like, yes, like we all want to see the fight, we all want to see the debate, but like if you have a real problem with who wins, it's like you can accept it. Like it's cartoons doing whatever. It's like you can accept it. Like calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, like this isn't a fight people are requesting to see like, oh yeah, no, Bugs absolutely slaughters Mickey, or no, Mickey absolutely slaughters Bugs. No, that's not why. That's not why we're here. We're here to watch 2 cartoon icons viciously murder each other because it's Saturday morning for me.
I like I said before, I'd say that this goes for like all episodes, but especially in this one, the entertainment value is just more important. It needs to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, hey, with Mickey versus Yoda, I don't think there's any reason why they wouldn't bring Keston Howard back to play Mickey, and he was fantastic there. So, we kind of have our. And then, I mean, I don't know if this I mean, it was one line, but we do have Caden for Bugs from the Donald Daffy DVX. So, you know, if all works out, we kind of have our voice actors already.
Yoda versus Mickey was so fun too. It's like, because I was disappointed at first because I was like very much thinking it was going to be Meta Knight as Yoda's opponent, and then it wasn't, and I was like, oh, okay, they're doing this instead, whatever. And then as I thought more about it, it's like, hang on, Yoda's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I like Mickey on his own, even if I don't, know that much about Kingdom Hearts. It's like, yeah, bring it on. I guess one thing I should say is that, like, I'm a big fan of, like, fights that don't have, like, human or humanoid characters, as you can tell by, like, Bugs versus Mickey, Stitch versus Rocket, kind of Galactus versus Unicron as well. It's like, if it's a fight that, like, has, like, I don't know, like, other species or other kinds of fighters, I kind of, like, I'm attracted more to that stuff. Like, also, Perry versus Skipper. That's one.
Yes! I love that fight so much.
Because it gives Stitch versus Rocket vibes for me. It's like, it's two little guys, but they know how to fight, and it could be fun.
Yeah. Please, one day.
Dude, Skipper Perry goes so hard. I like that so much. Well, okay. Before we get too off base, we have one more question, and then we can wrap up.
Yeah, my voice is starting to give out.
Yeah, and I should probably wrap up real soon because this is gonna get in the way. But so a couple seasons back we had our big like legacy anniversary season. It was the 10-year anniversary of Death Battle.
Yes.
And since then we've kind of been asking people like, it's a legacy. So why don't we kind of like get an idea of where we all came from, So I have to ask, how did you get into Death Battle, and what was your first episode?
Oh, I like this question. I got into Death Battle by accident. Like, it was kind of like it was just recommended to me one time. I don't remember.
Damn it! Damn it! I didn't want this.
No, but I came across it randomly. But it was Batman versus Spider-Man. That was the one that came up in my feed because I watched stuff about Marvel and DC on YouTube. Like, that's what I had done. I don't remember how old I was. I think, okay, I guess if I can work backwards from this, I think I started getting into Death Battle when Luigi versus Tails was coming out. I think that's what I remember. Oh. But my first episode was Spider-Man versus Batman. I was going in thinking Batman's got this. I was young, so don't bully me. I was thinking and saying Batman's got this, and then Spider-Man won, and I was like, oh, wait. And I didn't really comprehend the fact that there was going to be, like, an explanation at the end. I kind of just thought, like, oh yeah, it's a fight for fun. I don't even know if I watched the pre-analyses for this, because I didn't know what Death Battle was, right? I just wanted to see a fight. But then I heard them talk about, it's like, oh, like, Spider-Man's got the spider sense, and he's, stronger, and, Batman prep time, whatever, like, again, me in the moment, I was listening to that, and I was like, oh, wow, like, that actually made sense, and that's actually kind of cool that they did that. And then I checked out the channel, started getting into more of the episodes. I didn't binge watch all of them at the beginning. There were a lot of episodes where I didn't watch them for a while just because I didn't know the characters or didn't really pique my interest, but then eventually I watched all of them, and then I started watching it very religiously, and then eventually my channel kind of just revolved around that.
Right. Well, cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how recently you've gone back to Batman, Spider-Man, but do you still think that episode holds up? Or at least, do you like it?
I do like it. I think a big part of that is nostalgia, like for getting me into my favorite internet show, and for Batman and Spider-Man being, well, Spider-Man, I think I've come to accept that Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character. Probably my favorite superhero in general, and Batman is high up there. He's not as high as Spider-Man, but he's still high up there. So the fact, again, two characters I love, and yeah, there's the whole nostalgia factor to it. But I also still think it's one of the better episodes of season 1. And I would still say, like, I enjoy watching it more than I do certainly Batman versus Captain America and Batman versus Black Panther. Certainly more than those. And I think I've still gone back to it more times than Batman versus Iron Man, which I still think is a good episode. I think Batman versus Iron Man, the way they handled it, I still think is good. But it wasn't my first one, you know? Like,
right.
It just wasn't.
Kind of hard to beat that.
Yeah.
I got you.
Because again, like anyone who's watched my channel knows that, like, Marvel and DC is really my wheelhouse. Like, that's the stuff I really like.
Yeah.
And I have dabbled into other stuff, but, like, that's like the main stuff. So it's no surprise to me that Batman versus Spider-Man is the one that got recommended to me, and is the one that pulled me in. So I have to give it props for that. I know like no other episode could have done that job, so it might be a little unfair, but it's just the way it is.
I mean, Batman versus Spider-Man is like a general matchup. Like, is one of those like quintessential Marvel versus DC matches. Like, it's the one. It's the one.
Absolutely.
It's like take arguably the most popular characters both DC and Marvel have ever made stories for and put them against each other.
This is true.
So, yeah, like if any Marvel and or DC death battle is gonna introduce a Marvel and DC fan to death battle, it would probably be this one.
Better than it being Rogue versus Wonder Woman. So
I watched that one afterwards as well, because again I was scrolling through and I was trying to figure out who did I recognize and who did I not, and I wasn't watching Death Battle with a critical mindset at the time, so it was like, oh yeah, I watch it, I enjoy it, and I move on, you know.
Right.
Nowadays, of course, nowadays I think back and it's like, oh boy. But back then it's like, oh yeah, this is a fun internet show, I'm gonna keep watching. And now it's my favorite internet show, despite me being more critical of it. But that's part of the beauty of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, all right then. I guess that'll do it. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Raptor, thank you so much for for coming on, taking time out of your day to join us for this. And
you're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Again, having the opportunity to talk about Death Battle with, you know, like-minded folk, especially Stitch versus Rocket, like that's like there's no way I was gonna say no to this. This was so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah. And look, anytime you want to come back, all you have to do is ask.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will say I'm still working on my just for the sake of shilling, I'm still working on my Shantae versus Lilac script, so that'll come out eventually. So, you know, hope you look forward to that, and hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoyed Killua versus Misaka. If you didn't, I'm so sorry to hear that. Hope you're excited for Stitch versus Rocket. If you are, you can compete with the Rappter to get your excitement out of the way. I am 100% serious, and you can take my word 100% seriously. Yeah, that'll do it. So I'm going to get out of here before this storm probably knocks my power out. So let's let's. I'm mostly exaggerating, I should say.
Oh, really?
But I really hope that none of this was picking up on the video, but we'll see.
It wasn't on our end, so.
Okay, cool. But with that, we hope you enjoyed. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.